All right, everyone, and welcome to Sharing with Shellshock. I am your host, ShellshockPrime, and tonight we are here with yet another episode. First and foremost, we have all three guests being returning guests from previous episodes. Um, we got two of them on screen, and one of them not there yet, but they will be in a moment. But first and foremost, OneOneTwo, good to see you. Welcome back.
Hello. Hope everyone's doing all right tonight.
Yep, I hope everybody's doing all right. And Zeno, are you there?
Shellshock, welcome to die.
Good to have you back on, buddy.
It's good to be back, dude.
Yep. And so the same thing goes for you. It's good to have you back.
Yep. What's up?
Well, tonight is all about Marvel vs. Capcom. And the thing about Marvel vs. Capcom is it's a series that's been around since 1994, actually, believe it or not, because that was when Capcom released the first X-Men fighting game, Children of the Atom. And then a year later, they released Marvel Superheroes. And then in 96, we had X-Men versus Street Fighter. Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter came afterwards, to which that one wasn't as well received as X-Men was. People still like X-Men more. But then when Marvel vs. Capcom 1 came out, that actually made things completely different. That one was great. And then Marvel vs. Capcom 2 took it up another level. And then we got 3, Ultimate 3, Infinite, and then now we got the collection. So before we go any further, OneOneTwo, tell us what you do.
So, hi, I'm OneOneTwo. I'm an administrator on the R Mega Man subreddit. So I talk a lot about Mega Man games on podcasts like this and whatnot, and I just make sure the community's doing all right on the subreddit. That's mostly what I do in the game community nowadays.
All right, sounds good. And what about you, Zeno?
Well, definitely a streamer of retro games and some modern games as well. Going around on several discords and causing mayhem and havoc, as well as some weird shit.
Yep. And Soan?
Yeah, I'm Soan as 0AN. I'm a variety streamer, but recently I'm just doing compilations, marathoning compilations.
Yep.
Right now I'm doing Capcom fighting
Collection?
classics. Collection, yeah.
Good one.
Yep. A good way to follow up after you did that Sega marathon for the Sega
yeah,
Genesis
definitely.
Classics. Yeah. All right. So now let's talk about Marvel. So yeah, Marvel and Capcom. The fact that we actually got these games in the first place was wild, considering back in the days there weren't really that many crossovers. I believe the very first video game crossover was Battletoads Double Dragon, and if there was something before that, someone let me know, whether it was any of you guys or anyone in chat. Then afterwards, like, Capcom started making games from Marvel, like they started with the Punisher, but that was a beat 'em up, so that's not a fighting game. But X-Men Children of the Atom was the first fighting game that they did. Then Marvel Superheroes was built on what they did with X-Men Children of the Atom, but just instead of making a direct sequel, just make it like, let's do a general Marvel Heroes and use the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, Infinity War, having Thanos as the final boss. And then, like, they decided to do X-Men versus Street Fighter. I wonder if the direct inspiration came from SNK making the King of Fighters series, which was a bit of a crossover between SNK's properties mixed in with original characters, and that's a team base, but different team base, and then Capcom is just responding, having their own. I don't know if that's a direct correlation, but if that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised, but hey, at least we got a team-based fighting game from Capcom, 2v2. Like, they have not done that before up to this point.
Considering how often SNK and Capcom sort of, I'll say, borrow ideas from each other, I would not be surprised if there was some inspiration there.
Yeah.
Well, SK had ex-Capcom employees,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
Personally, given the popularity of X-Men at the time, especially when you got the comics, the cartoon series, the toy lines, uh, for Capcom to create X-Men Children of the Atom and then Marvel superheroes, why not mash up one of the most popular characters, comic series in the 90s, mash them up against their best fighting game series and put them in a 2v2 crossover, which is just bonkers, in my opinion. Because, I mean, the closest thing I can say that could be anything nearly that was Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. And the less discuss about that, the better. But you have the most popular comic book heroes: Wolverine, Magneto, Storm. I mean, I'll put Cyclops in there because Cyclops was my main. And then you put them with Street Fighter, Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li, Bison. It's just it wasn't all about SNK. It was all about Marvel and Capcom.
Exactly. Because we had like X-Men and Street Fighter characters, and at the time, the Street Fighter characters were based off of the Street Fighter Alpha series because that was the Street Fighter series that Capcom was focusing at the time. And then, what they did was they took a couple of characters from Children of the Atom and Marvel superheroes that's X-Men related and added 3 new characters. At the time, the new characters were Gambit, Rogue, and Sabretooth. I'm not sure about Sabretooth, but Gambit and Rogue were the ones that people easily requested to have in an X-Men fighting game. People really wanted those characters. But then we had the Street Fighter characters, which they took all the characters from Alpha 2, except Cammy, who was made for the game, but she was later added to Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold. Just because the fact that they decided to go with a different version of Cammy, because this was the Killer Bee Cammy, the doll Cammy, who was basically made by Bison. And this was before she lost her memories. And then afterwards, like, they just made more like Marvel's superheroes versus Street Fighter, then they did Marvel vs. Capcom. But instead of having just Street Fighter only, we just get all these characters. We would get Captain Commando, we would get Strider, we would get Jin from Cyberbots, Mega Man, we would get Morgan from the Darkstalkers series, and then Roll being a hidden character. Like, that was a pretty good roster.
Not a very good one, but yes.
Not a good one, no. Actually, like,
Screw you.
she's actually like one of the worst characters.
She got the best team in the game.
Okay, yeah, Kazuya Sutate is very good, but she's not good as like a fighter. She's quite bad.
Yep. And then like what they did for the Marvel side, like they took Wolverine, Wolverine, Storm, no, there's no Storm. Well, Storm's an assist, but Wolverine, Spider-Man, Captain America, and Hulk taken directly from Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. Gambit was taken directly from X-Men vs. Street Fighter. They took Iron Man and made him into War Machine because at the time they couldn't use Iron Man. There was a rights issue because in Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Iron Man was supposed to be in that game, and Doctor Doom. But Acclaim Entertainment ended up getting the rights to both of those characters because Acclaim made Iron Man and Exo Manowar and Heavy Metal, which Iron Man was in it, obviously. And then they also made a mediocre Fantastic Four beat-em-up, which Doctor Doom was the final boss.
Oh, I actually didn't know why that was. I didn't know the reason why Iron Man wasn't in MVC. I just assumed it was a roster choice. That's actually kind of wild.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either. That's good.
So
good to know.
So Iron Man was replaced by Cyclops, and Doctor Doom was replaced by Omega Red. That's why Omega Red made it.
I hate that final boss so much. He sucks.
I'll be pretty straightforward. I think I recall there was some sort of bankruptcy that has happened with Marvel.
Yes.
Comics. I would say in the late 90s.
In the late 90s, because it was the oversaturation of the comic book industry at the time. Comic books at the time were not in a good place, and that's why Marvel was like heavily licensing their characters to pretty much anyone and everyone. Hence the fact that Sony had the rights to Spider-Man movies, Fox had the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four, and so on and so forth. They were heavily licensing.
Only
Which
X-Men.
in hindsight was not very smart, because now you have it split up amongst all of these different distributors when
Yep.
you're trying to make a shared universe. That makes it quite annoying.
Hence the
It
fact
was
that
not very wise.
Hence the fact that they had to do a deal to get Spider-Man in the MCU, and
Oh
Disney,
yeah, exactly.
and then Disney went as far as buying out Fox entirely. So
That's
that so they get X-Men and Fantastic Four. But anyway, let's start from the beginning right here.
Back on topic.
What were your earliest experiences on Marvel vs. Capcom? And I'll start with you, OneOneTwo.
So, admittedly, my experience with this franchise is a little strange. I didn't really get that far into it until, honestly, relatively recently. Well, the first time I ever played a Marvel vs. Capcom game was, I remember I was on some sort of family vacation, and I saw an arcade cabinet for Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, Mega Man's here. He's my favorite video game character. I want to play this. This looks fun." And then I was like, "Oh, I'm really enjoying this. This is a fun time." And I did some more research on the series. I learned that I basically could not play it because the only consoles I had at the time were Nintendo consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to emulate it to play those games for a very, very long time. And I didn't play 3 and Infinite until the last few years. And then when the collection came out, that's when I started like really sort of learning the series and getting more into it, labbing with all the characters, sort of trying to understand what makes each of them tick. And occasionally I'll play the other two as well, but I think I've really sort of gravitated towards the older ones. And that's mostly because of the collection. That's why I was so excited about it.
Yep. What about you, Zeno?
Well, the first experience I got from Marvel vs. Capcom would definitely have to be the very first game, which is X-Men Children of the Atom, which I have to look this up, came from a very hidden but special location called the Ballpark's Lane
Mm-hmm.
over at Yankee Stadium. And that was the first time I've ever been exposed. Well, actually, not exposed because I do know about the X-Men, but really got into the X-Men series even more because now I could be able to play as Cyclops. I could be able to go through the other roster of the X-Men group. And then from there, just hitting every single Marvel vs. Capcom made game. So we're going with Marvel Superheroes, which was pretty unique at that time, and I think that was the time that I pretty much gone crazy with Spider-Man. I was a huge Spider-Man fan at that time. But once X-Men versus Street Fighter came out at a pizzeria near my school,
Yep.
you could just say I was addicted to it. Because holy crap. Being able to play as Ryu, as Ken, as Cyclops, as Gambit, going through all of these series is just so freaking fantastic.
Yep.
I don't think I ever played it on the home console. Actually, I did play it on the home console. But when it comes to the rest of the series, it's just pretty much wasting time, wasting money on the arcade, trying to get good and such, because if you get it at the home console, you're not going to get the experience. I don't even know about the Dream. I'm going to be pretty straightforward. I don't know about the Dreamcast that much. Most people say, hey, you got to play the Dreamcast version. Which, by the way, you see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? The only experience that we got on that is our college tournament over at Bronx Community College, which is the Dreamcast of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. By the way, the best tournament we ever held.
Nice.
But I guess with Marvel vs. Capcom, even all the way to Infinite, which I did play it twice. Once because I was actually interested, and 2 because I was actually curious. It comes to my mind like, holy crap. We need another crossover game because it's not only the Marvel vs. Capcom series that has been pretty much like one of the biggest hits. It's also the other versus series, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Capcom versus SNK, all three of them, and even Tatsunoko. Let's give some anime some love. So,
Yes.
going through all of those, just either you put in 50 cents and get good, or today get the collection, relive the nostalgia.
Yep. Absolutely. What about you, Soan?
I saw the evolution from X-Men, Children of Atom, up to Marvel vs. Capcom. I remember playing X-Men in a local arcade and doing really bad at it, but I had a friend that tried to teach me by watching him play Wolverine, because I kept saying I like Wolverine, blah blah. So, and then I played X-Men versus Street Fighter. Marvel Superheroes I played later after that on a Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
I bought it. Rented it and then bought it. And then I saw, they keep coming out with stuff, and it was Marvel vs. Capcom. The thing is, I did not play Marvel vs. Capcom at the arcade because too many people were always there, and I wasn't good at it. Like, I'm not going to play these guys, no way. And Marvel 2, that was out of the question. I'll just watch. That's it.
Yeah.
When the Dreamcast came out, I bought both games almost the same month, and I played then, and with a bunch of friends, and yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, for me, when I first played Marvel Superheroes at a Nathan's Famous in Yonkers back in the end of 1995.
Nice.
Yes. Because
I know Nathan's Famous very, very well. I may not live in New York anymore, but I certainly remember that.
Yep, because in Yonkers they used to have an arcade there until like the mid 2010s. They took the arcade out. But I remember I used to go there a lot of my childhood, play a lot of arcade games there. But this was around the time where I was on Christmas break in the end of 1995. I was with my older brother. He took me, my mom, and my younger brother to the Nathan's Famous to go to the arcade first, so that we could play some arcade games. And I've seen that there, and I had to wait until it was my turn to get in. I play a Spider-Man, and then I got my ass handed to me by a Wolverine player. I remember that vividly on Wolverine's stage. And then, like, it made me want to play that game even more, because at the time I was already watching the Spider-Man animated series, which was on Fox at the time. Like, during this time, I believe they were on their second season, and then the X-Men animated series was already going on at that time. So, being a fan of both of those shows, and then getting into this game, and especially hearing Wolverine's voice, because I played this before I played Children of the Atom, and just hearing Wolverine's voice, I'm like, oh wow, that's Wolverine's voice from the cartoon. I was excited as a kid at the time. And then I played Children of the Atom at a pizza place later on. Wasn't very good at it, but I played Marvel Superheroes a lot more, whether it's at that Nathan's Famous, or there were some pizza places or some other places in general. Then in late 96, we went to that same Nathan's Famous, but now they have, like, because Capcom used to have these big arcade cabinets, and the way they had these big cabinets were, it was like a giant widescreen TV, and they had a big space so that it was a lot more room for both players to be able to play games on. Capcom used to do these arcade machines back then, and they basically took that same machine and replaced Marvel Superheroes with X-Men versus Street Fighter. When I first saw that, I was a bit skeptical of how that was going to work, because at the time I was 10 years old. I didn't know how that was going to work. And then I played the game. I sucked, but I liked it, and I wanted to play more. So I would play more. Then I would play Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, which I played it at that same Nathan's Famous back in 97. It was like late spring, early summer of 97 when that game released. And I felt like something was off about that one. Like, I like the variety of the Marvel characters, but the Street Fighter characters, they took Charlie out, and they took Cammy out. They replaced them with Dan and Sakura, and basically the Street Fighter side is mostly oops all Shotos.
That's true. Actually, that's very true.
I didn't even
Yes.
think about
I
that.
mean, yeah, I think that was the first time I got exposed to Sakura and Dan, besides a magazine that discussed Street Fighter Alpha 2. But
Yeah.
when I even tried out those two characters, I actually got thrilled about Sakura.
Yep.
Because this is actually a unique character. Her Shoryuken, she's like a character that is learning how to fight, but is actually being inspired by Ryu.
Yeah.
But then when I tried out Dan, I'm sorry to cut you off. It was like the polar opposite. Like, how do you have...
I had no idea that Dan was supposed to be a joke character at the time. Like, I was wondering, like, did they actually made a character who was supposed to be bad on purpose? To which the answer to that question ended up being yes.
Yes. That is the whole point.
They were making fun of SNK at the time.
They were, but at the time I didn't even know why. At the time I didn't know why.
To be fair, though, like to the average player, there's no way that someone would get that unless they were actually knowledgeable about video game history. So that's
right.
fair. You would know that immediately.
The warning was there. The warning was there. He was wearing pink at that time.
I mean,
remember at that time, okay?
No, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Dang.
Yeah, different. Yeah, because that was like the mid to late '90s. Street Fighter Alpha. Dan was a hidden character in that game because there were 3 hidden characters in the first Street Fighter Alpha. It was Dan, Akuma, and Bison. But the way to get them, it was very specific, or you had to go to the random select in hopes that they'll pop up.
Oh, speaking of secret characters, by the way, I did not know Cyber Akuma was in, which one was it? Marvel Superheroes? I forget which one he's in.
Marvel Superheroes was a Street Fighter, yeah.
Yeah. I did not know that until the collection. Like, straight up, I was looking through the achievements to, like, try and get them all. And I saw the one for Cyber Akuma, and I was like, what? Wait, what? Like, where is this? I never knew this. I really never known that until the collection came out.
Yeah, and the same thing goes for Extra Control Yadam. You can play as Akuma in that game. That too.
That one I did know because I encountered him randomly once when I played that game for the first time on emulation. But the Cyber Akuma completely caught me off guard.
If I recall, the story goes that Apocalypse was able to cybernize Akuma into becoming Cyber Akuma. There you go.
Wow.
That's impressive of Apocalypse.
I did not know that
Akuma
story,
does not
actually.
screw around.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, the only best thing that I got from that was Akuma could actually do the Raging Demon. Like,
man, like if they would have
had so funny when he does Raging Demon. Yeah.
If they would have had Apocalypse's horsemen just coming in and just taking Akuma and turning him into Cyber, that would have been funny just to see how they would have done that. Then I remember back in early 1998. This was during like February winter break. And I remember going to a local game store and then they had an arcade machine from Marvel vs. Capcom.
Nice.
I was hooked. Easily hooked. Then I played the game on PlayStation. In 2000, I got the game on PlayStation. And I was disappointed because the PlayStation version, you could only use one character. There was no tag team mode. Actually, there was a tag team mode, but here's the thing.
Be the same character.
Yes. You were limited
that's kind of lame, though. Wow.
Wait. In the PlayStation defense, it's actually very fascinating. It has to deal with some sort of memory issue, if I'm correct. They couldn't be able to do 2v2.
The RAM.
Yes. However, being that it's only a 1v1 game, you can still do double teams. You can still call in your partner for assist or the crossover combination and such. And even the freaking tag team match, the 2v2, where you get to select one character and your opponent get to select the character, and then you get the partner of said character. It's like one of the most broken yet hilariously amazing games to own. It's actually a hidden gem.
Yeah.
If you're a PlayStation owner, and if you're looking for the collection of the Marvel vs. Capcom series, because among the what is it? Three games, because I don't know if Children of the Atom or Marvel Superheroes was released
Yeah.
for. They were released for the PS1, right?
Yep. I have
Okay.
I have the PS1 version, so
Okay. So among the 5 of the games, I highly recommend get your hands on Marvel vs. Capcom on the PlayStation. See how broken it is and how entertaining it can be.
well, and that's if you could get a copy at a pretty decent price, considering the fact that
Right.
a lot of Capcom fighting games have skyrocketed in price,
That's true.
especially on PlayStation, and the Marvel vs. Capcom series is no exception.
Okay.
I would even say it's uniquely probably high up there in price.
Okay. You know what? I take that back. Forget about it. Emulate it.
Yeah.
Touch me.
But
You-
I will say it's the reason why I did not purchase X-Men versus Street Fighter or Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. But in the case of Marvel versus Capcom, it's because of my uncle. So that's how we got it. And then I remember my brother and I used to play it, and then our PlayStation just randomly stopped reading discs. So we had to get another PlayStation just to be able to play it. And then it's like with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, like I was just absolutely impressed with that game. And yeah, like
Uh,
each and every game, like I just could not get enough of them. That's basically.
we,
Well, go ahead.
we play for money when it comes to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 3.
Yeah, there's
We
money
play for
matches.
Yeah.
There were people doing money matches back then. Yeah, I remember that those days. But those are my experiences, my early experiences. So, Xena, we're going to start with you for this next one. What were some of your fondest memories with Marvel vs. Capcom? And have you followed or have participated in any tournaments or events in the past? So, yeah, Xeno.
Yeah. Yeah, the fondest memory, you would not believe this, but apparently a barbershop
Really?
had Marvel vs. Capcom. Yeah, a barber shop, your traditional Hispanic barber shop. All I
Ah,
can remember is that you got two chairs on one side, you got at least 2 or 3 chairs on the other side, and right in the center is Marvel vs. Capcom, but well, the Japanese version, because
Oh,
wow.
because when I played the American version, I remember Morgan having a raging demon. And it was like, oh, so how do I do this? Wait a second. Why is she split in two and do all this? Why does she has a big gun? Why does she send out her other side? Wait a second. This doesn't feel right. It wasn't until either someone from Bronx Community College, community college me and Shellshock went to,
Yes.
or Marvel vs. Capcom collection, that I found out that there's actually 2 different ports, an American version and a Japanese port.
Yes.
So that's when I actually started to learn, because it was the same thing with Marvel vs. Street Fighter, where there's an extra character in the Japanese port.
Yeah.
So
Norimaru.
Americans, yes, we Americans will not be able to understand who the hell this dude is. Why is he eye goggling Chung Li? Stop it!
Like,
My wife.
Norimaru was basically like he was to Japan when at the time like we had these comedians like we had Pee Wee Herman or we had Mr. Bean and all that stuff, except he was to a completely different level because it was a bit more raunchier considering Japan.
He's a
Go ahead.
he's a teenager who has the hots for anime and video game chicks. Let's leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Actually,
that's
it was
another character, by the way, that is just not good. I'm sorry, but he's not fun to play. Yeah, what is it, Norimaru or whatever his name
Yeah.
is?
Oh yeah,
He's not fun. He's not a good character.
yeah.
No, he's not.
But
I got the import just for him, so
but tournament wise, I don't really like to participate in that. I think it was because of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, how freaking insane that game is, especially when you're dealing with broken characters like Iron Man, Magneto, Storm. You can't really play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 unless you casually, unless you're just gonna be like, you know what, just try out several other characters, which help me out expand my knowledge of Marvel characters and Capcom characters.
Yeah.
But definitely, I like to be able to follow these games because holy crap, the amount of insanity that you could get with some of these things, like some of the top moments in Evo, has come from Marvel vs. Capcom, and I think the recent Twitch rivals that has happened was Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that was hosted by Maximilian Dude, Yikes, and several others. And all I can say inside the community chat is, welcome to die, because wow. Because it's freaking Magneto and Storm and all that. So I definitely love to follow it, but in terms of participating in it, I'm more of a casual gamer. All I want, I don't care about the gameplay, okay? I'm sorry, Marvel vs. Capcom, to me, it's not about gameplay, okay? Even if it's crap, you put in the characters, I'm in. You put in Deadpool, you put in Blade, you put in Azura, you put in Saki, almost anyone that is recognizable.
Yeah.
I'm definitely.
I mean, the games have never really been well known for their balance, is all I will say. These are not, like, I don't think any of them are really that balanced, which is fine. I don't think it necessarily has to be, but, like, especially when compared to something like Street Fighter, which I would say on the whole is pretty well balanced, even if there are some games that are very much not. Okay, I know. There's a few that are terrible, but I would say like something like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo is decently balanced. Okay. But MVC, no, none of them are, which is fine.
I thought you was gonna say Street Fighter the movie, not balanced.
No. Where did that come from?
Quick, change the channel.
No, but yeah, like, as long as it's fun, that's all that matters to me.
It does stink though going to a tournament and having like everyone use the same 5 characters. That is annoying though. I won't lie. It's the same in Smash Bros. When you do Smash 64 or like Melee.
Exactly.
I don't really like to follow Smash.
Yeah.
I got canceled. Good night, everybody.
That's a good segue to move on to Soan. Your turn.
Yeah. So mine wasn't actually even Marvel. My fondest memory, it was X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Yeah.
So I was early stage of college. I was part of a video game group, club, whatever. And we had brought in a couple systems and started playing fighting games or whatever for a few hours and a day. And somebody brought in the import version of X-Men Street Fighter. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Let's play that. And the hidden Japanese characters, who the hell is this? Who is this? That's not a Marvel or Capcom character. And that's how I found out about the character. And I was like, you know what? This looks like fun. I do need to get the import version of this game. So I try to get my Sega Saturn working to play that. So that's my fondest memory of it.
Yep. And have you participated in any tournaments?
If I remember, it was like on a con, a random, like I signed up, let's see how far I got. Mm-hmm. I think it was Marvel 2, and I got destroyed. So I'm like, nah, not for me. I'd rather play like Street Fighter. I think 4 was at the time, but I still got my ass kicked, but I was a little better than I was in Marvel.
Yeah. Your turn, OneOneTwo. What were your fondest memories, and have you followed and participated in any tournaments or events?
Yeah, no, sorry. I was sorry for being a little distracted. I was actually typing to someone in the chat, and then I got auto logged out at some point. So I'm gonna have to fix that before I respond to Noble Boy in a minute. But so I would say my favorite Marvel vs. Capcom memory. Oh, that's tough. I mean, again, I'm not as I'm not as well versed in it as most other people, just because I'm newer to it.
Yeah.
That being said, there are a few times where I did play at an arcade cabinet before I got the collection, and one of those times was actually extremely recently when I was in Chicago and went to the Galloping Ghost Arcade, which is in the suburbs. I don't remember the exact town. I think it's.
I live
Grange
nearby that. That's great.
Yeah,
place.
that place is fantastic. I go to, if you're ever in Chicago, take Metro to LaGrange Park and walk. It's a fantastic arcade. So while I was there, they did have Marvel vs. Capcom, and just on a whim, I was like, oh, put in a quarter or two. Let's see how far I can get, whatever. And I actually made it to the final boss, just completely unprompted.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I'm actually doing very well. And then I got my butt handed to me because Abyss is hard. This is 2.
Yep.
Abyss is difficult, and but it was one of those things where like I attracted a bit of a crowd, So that was pretty fun. I really enjoyed that. Tournaments now. Unfortunately, I'm definitely not good enough to do tournaments, but that was very cool, and I did that for a couple of the other games in Galloping Ghost as well. Particularly, I actually beat Strider. Like, straight up, I just beat the game.
Nice.
And I got decently far in, what was it? Contra as well. But yeah, for NBC in this case, yeah, I somehow got all the way to Abyss. I was pretty impressed with myself.
Yeah. I will say, in regards to my fondest memories, the days that I used to go to, like, there was this one, like, video game shop that sold video games, phones, and some other electronics, and they had arcade machines they would rotate out. They kept Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for at least a year there. But they would have other arcade machines. They would have Capcom vs. SNK 1, because 2 wasn't out yet. But Second Tag Tournament and some other games, but Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was, like, the main one they had there. Used to go there with my brother while my mom was out shopping. She would just leave us there to play the games until like she's back to pick us up and all that, because she knew that we would just spend time on the arcade machines. We would play those games. Used to have a great time with that until like when someone comes in and they play like really good characters. But at the time, I don't know how long it took until like some of the best teams were known. Like, for example, MSP, like Magneto, Storm Psylocke, or MSS, which would be Magneto, Storm Sentinel. I didn't really see those teams until a little bit later, but I remember people just using different characters. And that being said, in terms of other fond memories that I could think of, another fond memory, and Zeno, I'm actually going to be bringing you up for this one. This is back in 2010. I remember at the time, the college we went to, BCC, had a kids Comic-Con, and we were running the Xbox 360.
Go on. I remember.
What I remember about that was that unfortunately we only had one controller, but everybody still had a great time. We let the kids play the game, like facing against the computer for a while, play Marvel 2, just to at least have them have that experience. And every kid that showed up had a great time. They had fun. And we were pretty much there until like when it was all over, and it was great. Another memory I could think of was New York Comic Con 2010, the Capcom booth. It was extremely crowded there. It was probably like one of the out of all the booths on the main show floor in New York Comic Con, Capcom had like one of the biggest ones besides like Nintendo or like Sega. Like Capcom had the biggest one because at the time they were heavily promoting Vanilla Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This is 2010, and this was also the same New York Comic Con that had Mega Man Universe.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. They had Mega Man Universe, and they were also promoting like that when Nintendo had Virtual Console arcade games, and they were promoting Capcom having those games, like Soan, for example. They had Soan playable on the Wii. And I forgot what else was there that they had. it might have been Monster Hunter Tri. I'm not sure. I don't think they did have Monster Hunter Tri, but Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was their main game that they had. They were pushing that game very hard because the game was going to come out in a few months after Comic-Con. And what I remember was my brother participated in a particular competition in which that you get like some free stuff if you won 5 games in a row, which he did.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And what I also remember was that time it was huge because I remember like I was just extremely excited because at the time we didn't know who else was coming into Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We didn't know the whole roster yet, but people were just speculating. People were hoping for certain characters that some made it in, like Phoenix Wright made it in, but then there were other characters that didn't. Like Strider was not in the vanilla one, and neither were Phoenix Wright, but they came into Ultimate.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of other memories, mainly the times that I used to go to Nathan's Famous or other arcades growing up, playing all the Marvel vs. Capcom games. But I do remember, I have one more memory before I do the next part about the tournaments thing. One other memory I want to bring up, actually 2. I went, like, this was back in 2011. I was at a birthday party with a friend of mine who was celebrating a birthday at the time. Someone I haven't spoken to in years, but what I remember, long story short, playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was amazing with people for the against like people locally was amazing. That's that much I'll say. And the last one, the moment that Nintendo Direct moment.
Oh yeah, I think we all kind of freaked out at that one.
Yeah. That Nintendo Direct moment, I popped off. Like the moment I saw like that Capcom logo with Ryu, because I recognized it from when it would pop up in the Marvel vs. Capcom games, I was just shocked. I was like, oh my god.
No way.
Yeah. And
wait. And, besides Shellshock 101 and so you guys played Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Vanilla, by the way.
Yeah. Vanilla?
Online, right?
Yes, I have.
I mean, besides you.
Oh, okay.
Because
I played a little bit. I had to play it on someone else's console though.
Online, because it was, I think Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was such a disappointment of a release. I'm not saying that it was a bad game, but when it was released, it was such a disappointment because first off,
online?
Yes.
No, I don't remember.
No disrespect to Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Well, Ultimate. But whoever Gaming Magazine, because around that time Mortal Kombat 9 was also released, and I'm sorry, that blew away Marvel vs. Capcom 3. As much as awesome it is. Whoever Gaming Magazine says that Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 won the award, screw you. Okay.
Ooh,
Here's
nice words.
Have you even remember how we have to entertain ourselves during the while we're waiting to play against the opponent?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, just have 2 cards tip tapping each other while we're waiting in the
Oh my god, now I remember.
Yeah, because
I do remember that. That was not fun.
You triggered a poor memory.
yeah, because
Oh my god, no wonder I forgot.
oh my god, because like the lack of spectator mode, which Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 did add spectator mode to that.
Yeah.
Because people complain about not having it, and then they finally add because Street Fighter had it. So it was no excuse not to have it there when Street Fighter already had it, with Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4. So they listened and they added it there. Though I wonder if it was originally supposed to be there. But here's the thing about this that people need to understand that Marvel vs. Capcom was actually supposed to release a little later than what it did, but they rushed it to release it as soon as possible because of, at the time, it was after Kiichi Inafune left Capcom, and then they were just rushing whatever projects that, even the ones that he had some sort of involvement in, including that one, and they originally had planned to have 20 DLC characters. Only 12 of them made it into Ultimate. 8 of those characters did not make it in. The reason? The earthquake and tsunami of 2011.
Oh, yeah.
I only
Right.
I
Which
o-
I can't blame them for. You can't
Yeah.
you can't control the freaking weather, so
like the out of the Marvel characters, the only one that's known to be confirmed as one of those characters that ended up getting cut was Luke Cage, who at the time was known as Power Man, and he was the only Marvel character that was known for the Marvel side. Doc Ock was actually a different story. I'll get to him in a little bit, but I'll say this. For in the case of the Capcom side, the 4 characters were Francisco Fankarma, Chuck Green from Dead Rising 2, Mega Man X, and John Talbane. Those were the 4. Those were the 4 characters that would
Those
have.
are some good ass choices.
Yes.
I'm not talking about Chuck Green.
well, X would later join at least, even if it's in a game that is questionable. But at least he was there eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and then it's like Doc Ock was actually planned. He even had music made for the game, which I think did get leaked somewhere. I don't know, but they were having some issues trying to get him to work. There was also Nina from Breath of Fire that almost made it in, but her playstyle just was just too slow for Marvel vs. Capcom. There was also Soki from Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, who was in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. They were basically, he was going to play exactly the same, but they took him out because his playstyle was way too slow for what they were going for with Marvel vs. Capcom. And another one I want to bring up is the Super Skrulls. Like the reason the Super Skrull made it in the first place is because we were actually supposed to have either just the Fantastic Four as a whole group, like where you have like all 4 characters as one, or we would have had the Human Torch. And the Human Torch had a huge memory issue on the 360. I don't know about PS3, but definitely on 360 there was a huge memory leak issue, which is why Human Torch ended up not making it in. And then Marvel was like, why don't you use Super Skrull? Because Super Skrull can use the powers of all 4 of the characters. And that's what they did. So,
What was the memory leak issue? Was it just like too many particle effects from the fire, or
yes,
that makes sense? I mean, that's a legit problem.
that was yeah.
Out of all the characters, I think I would have taken the Thing way more than, well, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and the Human Torch. Because when you think of this Fantastic Four, of course you could be able to go with all of them, but the most popular one has always been the Thing. But going with the Super Skrull, I think it's actually a much better choice.
It's funny you say the Thing because he was actually a character that Marvel said you should use, but then Capcom was like, no, because they felt he was too similar to the Hulk.
I was just thinking that.
Whereas they ended up saying that if they would have brought Juggernaut back, Juggernaut would have at least played a lot more differently compared to the Hulk. But Marvel said you could either use Sentinel or Juggernaut, but not both for this game. And they went with Sentinel. They went with Sentinel because of the fans.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Wait, what was the Avengers Assemble cartoon?
Oh, I haven't seen that one, but I know about that.
Yeah, because it did have the Hulk fighting the Thing.
And also,
it was like the perfect time. You got no excuses right there. Come on.
Also, Squirrel Girl lost her spot to Rocket Raccoon.
I remember the rumor, and I actually still have an image of that rumor.
And also, War Machine was originally planned for the game, but he didn't really go that far. There were some silhouettes made for him, but another character that was planned for the game that lost their spot to another character. The Kingpin lost his spot to MODOK.
Wow.
Would have been nice to have the Kingpin.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Also, you want to know who was a character that almost made it in, but they decided not to have him in because he played too similar to Dante? Blade. Blade should have been in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh, now they're modding him in.
Yeah.
He said the community actually saved Marvel vs. Capcom, because if it wasn't for the community,
3 and Infinite now.
Yep.
3 and Infinite.
But going,
Yeah.
but yeah, like, so I was sidetracked, but going back, tournaments I have not played in tournaments because the whole competitive scene for Marvel vs. Capcom is intimidating.
It is.
Because whenever I play online or whenever I go into like an arcade, because I do have it goes hand in hand with one really awkward experience. I was with my friends back when Switch and Play NYC used to be Street Pass NYC. This was back in 2011. We had a Coney Island event. We decided to go to the arcade at some point later on after doing a sandcastle contest. We went to the arcade. They had Marvel vs. Capcom 2 there. I played. I put a quarter in. I was playing casually, and then this guy came in, and
Oh boy.
and he smelled like he smoked weed, which it turns out actually was weed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Not judging, by the way, but that's how it was at the time. It was really strong. But here's the thing. He picked Magneto Storm Sentinel and destroyed me. Like, he used Magneto, I could not do anything. Like,
That infinite though.
he easily destroyed the fuck out of me, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. And you want to know the sad thing about that day? That was actually the day before Capcom canceled Mega Man Legends 3.
Oh, so then you got the 1-2 punch and getting your butt kicked, and then
Hypercom
Legends 3.
Yep.
This is just Capcom. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you guys
Yeah.
smoke.
And
Here, have an ice cream. Okay, it's Mega Man Legends 3. Okay.
But wait, like, and
There's more.
and there's this more, and it is Marvel vs. Capcom related because the day after Capcom canceled Mega Man Legends 3 was the day that the day after that was San Diego Comic-Con, and Capcom announced Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 the very next day. And I remember Capcom was like getting like absolutely like blasted by so many people back then because like, well, in this case, because a good buddy of mine bought Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the collector's edition, because it was about $70 to $80 because you get the DLC that had Shuma Gorath and Jill, and it was a steelbook, and I don't remember if it had a comic book in there or not. I don't remember, but I do remember he got the collector's edition. And then when Capcom announced that, he got so pissed that he swore off buying Capcom games forever. Which,
Wait, this isn't who I think it is it?
it's that one mutual friend you think it is.
Oh my God! Of course.
I had to bring it up because I know for a fact.
No. And also, if he sees this, I hope I can see you again soon. It's been a while.
He was angry because the fact that like he felt like the collector's edition that he bought means nothing now, and I understand his argument because at the time we didn't know we were going to get Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because he got the collector's edition of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Vanilla.
Yeah.
And we were all assuming we were just going to get DLC down the road, but then Capcom decides to pull this, which.
And to be fair, though, there's no way that anyone could have predicted a tsunami. That just happens.
Yes, it's just the timing of it all. Like, because Marvel vs. Capcom 3 released in February, Valentine's Day, actually, on in 2011, and then in November of 2011, we got Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which came out on the same day as a bajillion other games like Rayman Origins, one of the Assassin's Creed games, and so many other games. All of them coincidentally happened to come out on the exact same day. Because holiday season, and nobody knew like when to space things out.
I know the sales of Ultimate weren't that good, but I was one of the few that actually did buy it because I wanted Frank West.
Yeah.
It's still a good game, though. I mean, they improved a lot, but
They did.
Yeah, I like Ultimate at the end of the day. Like it's definitely not perfect, and it's still quite jank, but they fixed enough of the issues, especially with the roster, that I legitimately had a good time with it.
Definitely.
It's also just fun to play, which is the most important thing in the end of the day.
too. His movesets were improved and easier to work with.
Yep.
Shellshock.
It was a good balance patch in that regard. I completely agree.
Yep.
All right.
What's up, Cino?
Okay, when you talk, first off, you talked about the special edition, the collector's edition, and the funny thing is that when I went to the Google, first thing that that popped up is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Easter eggs that you could be able to get.
God.
Oh,
Oh my God, that was just horrendous.
that was even worse
My Infinity Gauntlet is more legit.
See, like, for that one, I don't understand how they could have possibly thought that was a good idea. I just don't understand that.
I'll try to give this to you without compromising my personal stuff, but here's what it is that was going to be given.
Like,
that's completely it.
Yeah.
Steelbook with the game inside.
Feel free to share that as well in the podcast guest room as well.
Yeah. A comic, and on top of that, the 2 DLC characters plus $9.99 off of Marvel, the website.
Like,
so,
I've seen fan-made Infinity Stones that look so much better than the ones that Capcom and Marvel produced.
Same.
Oh man.
Like,
I'm trying to find out about the ultimate one.
Like, fucking, how do they fuck up that collector's edition having like all those Infinity Stones in Infinite? Like, it doesn't, at the same time, the funny thing is that when that game released, Capcom was starting to come back from their slump, their the so-called Dark Age, because Resident Evil 7 released that same year. It's just, Marvel Infinite was just the one misstep that wasn't exactly a norm afterwards. But yeah, the other thing, go ahead.
They had a competition in form of Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Yes, they did. Because I remember that E3, people were like just unimpressed with what Capcom was doing, and then when Bandai Namco and Arc System Works announced Dragon Ball Fighters, a lot of the casual players that would have flocked to Infinite ended up going to Dragon Ball Fighters instead, because they say, oh, it's a 3v3 game and it has characters I'm nostalgic for, so they went to that. So,
and what can one of the who got an interview for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite that discussed about the reason why we don't have Magneto, why we don't have Wolverine, that they're trying to be able to say, okay, it's going to be based off of 8-wave movements. So if you use this character, that's the reason why.
I want to say that might have been Combo Fiend. I'm
Functions,
not sure.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
I want to say Combo Fiend, but I'm not sure. But I know that that was not good PR to say that.
Yeah. No, it was not. And Infinite already had enough roster problems because of the lack of X-Men, which was a whole other issue.
More like also the design on the characters. I mean, have you seen
Chun-Li? Oh, true. That as well. I mean, I don't know. That game is just
Chun-Li, Thor, Dante.
It's because it's fun to play. It's legitimately fun to play, but just anything else is not very good.
But yeah.
It's a good thing it's getting a mod soon. A really big one.
That's true.
Yes. Now, in terms of tournaments, again, was intimidated, so I didn't really get a chance to participate in any. But events, plenty of events in the past. Like the Kids Comic Con that we talked about, Xeno, but also the only other events that I could probably think of were just like really whenever like I go to like Chinatown Fair back in the day, like people would just make a big deal of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like I've only seen Justin Wong there once.
Oh wow.
Wong. You got to beware of the Wazzle.
The Wazzler. Yes.
Wazzler.
I am not letting him force me to return my copy of the game. Nah, but yeah. So the next thing, and Soan, we're gonna start with you for this one. Which Marvel vs. Capcom game is your favorite, and who are your favorite characters from Marvel and from Capcom within any of the games? But up to 3 characters each, and we're gonna start with you, Soan.
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. I actually like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 the most.
Yep.
However, I do enjoy 2 and 1 for fun, and who are your favorite from Marvel and from Capcom? Okay, so from Marvel, I like my team in Marvel 3 would be Dante, Chun-Li, and Akuma.
Nice.
So that would be Capcom side.
Yes.
And the Marvel side, I'd have to look into this. I like Wolverine. I like what's his face? Cyclops.
Yeah.
And one more, huh? I wish I could say Blade, but
Yeah.
but that's too soon. Let me look it up. Hold on.
Why do I have a feeling Wesley Snipes is going to be around?
Oh, Gambit. There we go.
Yeah, Gambit's a good choice.
Game is awesome. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Good choices. 112, you're next. Favorite game and your 3 favorite characters from each side.
So my favorite game, I'm very basic with this, is just Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It is, despite how broken the game is and it feels like it's held together with duct tape, it is definitely one of the best fighting games ever made. It has made such an impact on just fighting games in general that, in my opinion, it is the best game in the series by a decent margin. Although all the games are great, and honestly, what I'm hoping for with the collection is more people will give Marvel vs. Capcom 1 a shot. That game is awesome and does not get enough attention. It is great.
I played it earlier today.
Yeah, it's
I saw you.
Amazing game. So my favorite characters from both sides. Ooh, that's tough. So my main team in general that I use whenever I play a little more seriously is Mega Man, Strider, and Ruby. That tends to be my sort of loadout. Occasionally I'll swap out one of them for like Tron if I'm feeling kind of feisty, because I like using the mech to screw with people. It's very fun.
Yep.
From now, Ruby is not really either, so I'm just gonna say 3 Marvel characters, just because she's kind of both. I absolutely love using Shuma Gorath. He's so stupid, and all of his moves are like troll moves, but it's so much fun to play as him and to just mess with people. So definitely Shuma Gorath. I also really like Wolverine. His combo potential is fantastic, and a lot of his moves really flow into each other in a way that sort of speaks to me. So I like using him. I would say the third character, I'll go with Storm. Storm is just good. She's just a fun character to play as. She has good range. She can kind of zone very well. I would say those are my 3. But yeah, for my money's worth, my favorite Marvel character is definitely Shuma Gorath. I love that he returned in 3 as well, because he's so dumb.
Yep.
112, I've come to bargain.
Oh boy. Also, wait, one more thing real quick before I cede the floor. I do want to say that in Marvel 3 and Infinite, I always pick Firebrand, because people hate playing as him, and I am that person. I will use Firebrand, and I will be annoying about it.
We should fight.
I use Surfbot in Marvel vs. Capcom too, and the only reason is because I love to transform into Mecha Surfbot with a big hammer to be like,
and people honestly really underestimate Surfbot, because he has like the tiniest hitbox, so it's really hard to actually hit him, and people do not understand that. So I actually also use Surfbot from time to time. Also, just because Mega Man Legends is fantastic.
I guess it's because what I would say is that several of these characters, it's kind of like what they would say in the tier list, that the ones who actually use low tier characters, not the one that has it in their name. Anyway, that they know something about the character, that the whole point about it is patience. If you got some combo potential, you know how to be able to utilize said character. You just have patience, and then you get the game to your victory. All right, either that, or you just want to be able to screw around. Which is
that's why I use Shuma Gorath. I don't think he's very good, but he's funny as heck when you like grab people in that tornado and just destroy all their health.
No, he's actually better than MODOK.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Shellshock, that's true, right? So
wait, what?
You too?
Better than MODOK?
Yeah, I use MODOK, and he is slow as hell.
Yeah, he is very slow.
His technique is different, because you got to kind of wait and charge his moves or something like that. I forgot what it was exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Xeno, your favorite game in the series and
Well, obviously, it's just going to be Marvel vs. Capcom 2 because that was the one that I got most hype, most rage out of it. But still, all of the Marvel vs. Capcom games are near and dear to my heart, even Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, because of the roster it has. Crazy enough, when it comes to these characters, selecting like the top 6 is pretty. It's pretty out there. First off, definitely went with Felicia from Darkstalkers. That was the first character I saw and questioned about how hot she is.
Right.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Come on.
Go on.
You in the chat, stop judging me. All right.
No one's judging you.
No one's
You're
judging you.
Anyway, but using Felicia at that time, and this was, I think, before I played Darkstalkers, I actually quite interested on how she plays, and also the speed, her personality, along with her version of the Raging Demon, especially how cinematic it was, thanks to Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That shit was just so fun. Another character would definitely be Hayato from... Yes. I guess it was around the time me and my bros played Plasma Sword. That's
Right.
when we got introduced. Well, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 introduced me to Hayato, but that's when I got a chance to be able to play Hayato and several other characters.
Can't wait for the new collection.
I literally was going to say those exact words. Can't wait for Capcom Fighting Collection 2.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's even pretty fascinating because whenever I think of any type of sword skills in terms of characters or actually video games, anime, and whatnot, Hayato is usually the first one of the top 2 that comes to my well, top three. Other is like Nightmare, Siegfried,
Yeah.
and
Soul Calibur,
yes, and the switch axe skills. But Hayato is up there, especially since I'm mostly someone in speed. And since I need one more Capcom, what the hell? Phoenix Wright.
Oh, of course.
Seriously.
Nice. I like him. I like playing.
I would say he is one of the most difficult characters to use in any fighting game, frankly, but it is so satisfying once you nail it down.
Yep.
Yeah, once you get all 3 clues, you get the shiny
Exactly.
finger. And what better way to take someone out than to put them into court? We know you did it!
Is level 3.
Your alibis.
Of all the things to referencing the opening scene from Justice for All was
Seriously!
perfect choice.
Take that! But with Marvel, forget it. You got too many characters for Marvel, and usually it would be based off of their personality. Of course, I've gone with Deadpool because of how well they brought that character in. The first time introduction was definitely Marvel Ultimate Alliance. How hilarious that character is with Jarvis, with Weasel, and even Arcade. Oh man, and to put him in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. His antics with Ryu, with Magneto. Who else did he had antics with?
I know, like they made him a rival to Dante in 3.
Weird. I know I'm sorry, that's kind of like weird. But then again,
he was not supposed to be Dante's rival. That was supposed to be Blade, but because Blade was taken out, they just put Dante versus Deadpool, like Dante Pool or something.
That intro, man, though. Oh my god, that was such a good intro.
But influence of the Deadpool variant.
But the thing about Deadpool is the fact that it's really hard to fuck Deadpool up. It's really hard.
That's true, yeah. I mean, it's not impossible. There was well, oh my god, what was that X-Men movie? It wasn't Days of Future Past.
X-Men Wolverine Origins.
Oh my god, that
Yes,
movie.
that's the one. Okay, yeah,
That's
it's
one.
possible, but it's very difficult.
Cue the Deadpool endings in
Yeah.
So
His character knows.
oh Canada.
Oh boy.
So besides Deadpool, Iron Man has been another favorite of mine, and I guess that was because of Marvel vs. Capcom 1.
Well, that was War
That-
Machine, but yeah.
It was War
You
Machine.
play similarly.
Yeah. But
Close
when I played
enough. I mean-
when I played 2, it was actually weird. Like War Machine's shooting missiles, Iron Man's using Unibeam.
Yep.
What the heck is going on here? Why does War Machine has more moves than Iron Man? But I guess it was because the man behind the mask or the armor actually pretty much became near and dear to me.
Yeah.
Of course, the last one is definitely Gambit. Even though I want to
Yeah,
good choice.
Cyclops, yeah. Personally, I'm more of a Cyclops over Wolverine, but now I'm more of a Wolverine than Cyclops. But Gambit was definitely that one character I actually enjoyed in Marvel vs. Capcom, and probably one of my go-to characters in the first 2 releases. Well, actually, 3 games out of the 7 or 8. Let's make it 12.
Yeah, let's make it 12. Okay.
So those are my 6 unusual characters, so to say.
So for me, like for my go-to characters, we'll talk about my favorite characters in a minute, but favorite game is a toss-up between 2 and Ultimate 3. Both of them
Okay.
are really good. And the thing with Ultimate 3 is that like they delisted the game on PS3 360's online stores sometime at the end of 2013. But then 2016, Capcom remastered that game and brought it to PS4, Xbox One, and PC through Steam. Which, if I ever go back to that game, I play the PC version of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely need those mods, especially.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of which, actually, I mean, obviously, base MVC3 isn't there, but the entire series is now on Steam. Actually, now that I think about it,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because of the Capcom collection. Or
that's what I'm saying. The collection, everything is on there now.
yeah.
I would also say to also do SNK Galactus as well, but that's only if you're willing to take that challenge.
Oh, the Galactus fight, yeah. But I will say though that at least like now there's like a resurgence of Marvel 2. Well, pretty much the older games, but especially 2 because of the collection. But I remember for a while, like people have been saying free MVC2, and like there were even celebrities that were saying that, like I know Michael B. Jordan, who played Killmonger in the Black Panther movie, he said he wanted Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on PS5, and then now you got it. And
I do think that whole movement is one of the reasons why we got the collection, is because Capcom saw the demand there and like thought that like getting all the rights and all the money for the rights was worth it. I definitely think that entire movement was the reason why we had the collection at all.
yeah,
Do you think Max started that, or did somebody else?
Um,
No, and all credit to Max. He's a great streamer.
Yeah,
I think it was more of a collective community thing, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
but
definitely a community.
and I'll definitely go more into that once we go to the next part of the topic. But for the characters, so for Marvel, I obviously love to use Spider-Man. Doctor Doom is a character I love to use, and as far as other Marvel characters I love using, I actually enjoy using Sentinel. Like, yeah, I know Sentinel, obviously, like, in Marvel 2, he's one of the more overpowered characters and overused, but I still have fun with him. For the Capcom side, Strider, Zero.
Yeah.
Zero's another one I love to use, especially, like, I made sure, like, when Tatsunoko vs. Capcom came out, I used Zero, and when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, I was practicing Zero all day. Like, I remember day 1, I practiced Zero all day to the point where I wanted to have that in my muscle memory. So when I used him, I knew what to do. I knew how to use him.
Yeah.
Which was a bit of a detriment in a sense because I should have done the same for some other characters, but
Makes sense to do it for one. If you get really good at one particular character, that's a third of your your play time for each match. So that makes sense.
and the third character that I'm gonna go with, in regards to favorites from Capcom. So I already said Strider. I already said Zero. So third character, I'm actually gonna pick a character that has not been mentioned yet. I personally enjoy using Captain Commando.
Yeah, Captain Commando is good.
That's one of my favorite as well.
Yes, Captain
His
Commando.
specials are ridiculous. Like, especially with all the effects going on, it gets crazy.
And in Marvel 2, one of the best assists in the entire game. Like,
So,
How is it that he has not broken the game? It's
I don't know. But, so, and this,
You could-
go ahead.
well, first off, Killmonger. That's a character I never thought I would hear.
Yeah.
But damn, oh damn, Captain Commando. Ah, the look of the character, the gameplay, and on top of that, his music. Like, somebody got to play that right now. I don't even care if it's the remix Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. There is one, and it was actually pretty techno-y, so to say. It's just like, yeah.
Yep.
This is the dude.
I mean, that's in line with what the Captain Commando the game soundtrack. It makes sense.
It is. Well,
I don't know, because I did play Captain Commando, but the only thing I could remember is what the first stage sound
Right.
music.
what was I going to say?
Because of Namco X Capcom.
Yeah, they brought his theme back in Project Cross Zone as
Oh.
well, like the original theme from the arcade. So the next topic, 112, we'll start with you on this one. Now that Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection has been released, do you think that there's hope for a new game in the series?
Ooh. I would say maybe, because I do remember this collection sold very, very well. Now, that being said, I do not think it has broken 1 million units yet, if I recall correctly. I don't think it's hit the platinum sellers list, which I know is sort of the standard benchmark Capcom likes to set for their games to say what sold well and what didn't sell well. I would say there's a chance. If there is legitimately another one in development, we're not going to see it for a while. It's probably like Switch 2 if they're really going to. It's absolutely going to be on a Nintendo console, because why else would they announce it at the Direct? And it sold very well on the Switch. So if that happens, definitely going to be on a Nintendo console for once.
Yes.
I would say the odds are definitely higher than they were. I would say before MVC Collection, it was 0. Now it's probably, I'd say maybe 55. I'd say more likely than not. I think, though, what it's going to come down to is I've noticed that Capcom likes to have sort of one game per genre, or at least very few games per genre. And right now, their main fighting game is Street Fighter 6. After that starts, going through the motions and it starts getting up there in years, then I could maybe see MVC jumping in to take over. I think that's their end game plan.
Okay. And that's fair. Zeno, what do you think?
Well, looking at the games right now, and especially recent news, first off, Marvel vs. Capcom Collection has been nominated for Fighting Game of the Year.
Yes.
That's great. I didn't even know that. I didn't pay attention to the Game Awards announcements.
Yes, alongside I would say their biggest competitor, Tekken 8 and Multiverse. Please do not get upset, chat, okay? Leave Multiverse alone. They never hurt you. And maybe Dragon Ball Z game and Grand Blue Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, it's a heads and tails toss on 2 of the best fighting game out there. All right. But then you also have Mortal Kombat 1, which has canceled I'm going to put this in quotations because I don't know if it's true, but canceled their third season, which is pretty unfortunate.
Yep.
But they're still focusing on Mortal Kombat. SNK is going to be releasing Fatal Fury.
The City of the Wolves next year.
Yeah, and even though Capcom is focusing on Street Fighter 6, you know, there is still particularly room for an idea of a crossover. So, by any chance, if, and this is a long shot, if Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection can somehow pretty much win an award, so to say, and then you have the backing of the modded MVC 3 community, the Infinite community, what I'm going to have to say is quite possibly right here. It's a huge prediction, so to say.
We'll see.
I don't
Like
see anything.
2027.
Oh, it's blank on my end. Sorry.
Yep. But all I'll say is we'll see on that one, Tino. 2027, maybe?
It can be possible because by that time, Marvel Studios should have already released at least one Avenger film, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Perfect timing to be able to bring that in. Plus, even though Marvel is focusing on their newest game, Marvel Rivals,
yes.
And I think that's one of those games which even I personally want to know who else is going to be in the game. Fighting games is definitely one of the most passion lines in the market.
Yeah.
You either got Evo, you got Combo Breaker, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
You have so much potential to get involved in the fighting game scene that a fourth Marvel vs. Capcom 4 game will not only blow out the the internet, it's gonna break Twitter and it's gonna break Blue Sky. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna call it X. But
yeah.
What I would say is that this is one of those. Hopefully, it's one of those meetings that is going to be a healing process of pretty much Capcom showing care for their fighting games. Sure, we're gonna get a Street Fighter 7 at some point.
Of course.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get that, but you got other great games that it's going to be pretty potential. And Marvel vs. Capcom, even though it's pretty recent, it's not one of those games in which, me personally, it wouldn't be like the top 5. But for it to come back in, you bring in your original cast and you expand it with new cast as well. Miss Marvel. Who else would be great for the Capcom scene, so to say?
Well, that we'll save it for the community questions because there is a question on that.
Oh, okay. So definitely, I say if they win the award, if they get those sales by 2027, I would say maybe 26. We'll get Evo time. That's when it's going to be the perfect time to announce it.
We'll see.
On the sales notes, if it hits 1 million, I absolutely think the odds are extremely high. Like I said 55 earlier, it would probably jump to like 75 or 80 if it hits 1 million.
Yeah, and I will bring up one particular counterpoint regarding the Game Awards and the fact that it got nominated at this point, with the fact that the Game Awards have been changing the rules this year. If a game like if the Elden Ring DLC could be nominated for Game of the Year, anything can happen. So a collection being nominated for Best Fighting Game, at this point, if they're gonna change the rules, I don't mind. But that's how I see it. But yeah, Soan, your turn. What do you think there's hope for a new game in the series now that we got the collection?
It's a higher chance than Darkstalkers 4, that's for sure.
Oh my god, just had to bring that up.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what and the reason for it is because Capcom Fighting Collection did not sell as well as Marvel vs. Capcom. Because when I was checking out Twitter stuff and people were posting that they bought several people have posted that they bought the physical copy of the Switch and the PS4,
Yes.
and people were double dipping on it. So, including me, by the way. And I bought Capcom Fighting Collection on both consoles as well, and Steam, but that's another story because I enjoyed Darkstalkers as well. But that's and it being nominated, it's just a higher chance, but it won't be so soon. Just like Xeno mentioned, I don't know what year it'll be, but it'll be really down the line.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my answer on it.
All right. So, personally speaking, I think there's a good chance. I don't want to say there's a strong chance just yet, but I do think there's a chance. I do think that this collection is going to sell a lot more than how it's selling now. I think it's going to, if it hasn't broken 1 million units yet, we'll more likely hear about it like either at the end of the year or sometime like whatever is Capcom's next like investor briefing would be. They'll more likely announce it there, unless they break it before then. They'll be like, oh hey guys, this collection sold over 1 million already. Let's keep it up. So I think there's a very good chance that we'll get a new game in the future. Like, I don't want to jump the gun and say it's going to happen because I don't know if it will yet. But
by the way, I just looked it up. It did not hit 1 million. Yeah, I don't see it on here.
But it will hit 1 million soon. Like, more likely.
I would have to imagine, yeah.
And the show, honestly, when you think about it, showing it off at the Nintendo Direct was probably one of the best moves you could possibly make, considering the fact that, like, you would think, because here's the thing, like, Evo, yeah, you're gonna get a reaction, but that's an event dedicated for fighting game fans. So, but a Nintendo Direct, and here's the thing, nobody ever expected to see this there. I remember, apparently they showed it off earlier in the Direct in Japan, and then in the North American one, they showed it off a little later into the Direct, because I remember, like, skimming through, like, Discord, and someone said, like, that something got leaked that was extremely hype. I didn't see what it was at the time, so it could have been anything, just about anything. It could have been, like, either a major first-party Nintendo game that people have been asking for, or a big third-party game that people wanted to see on Switch. And it ended up being Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. And then, like, once I saw that on the Nintendo Direct, like, because I was with Silverstone and Mike, we were popping off. I popped off extremely hard because I was like,
I would say I've seen that your reaction in compilations. Honestly,
yeah, I saw that too. Actually,
yeah,
I got super hyped when that came out.
Like, I could not believe this. And then like and then during like the announcement, the one thing I had in my mind was like wondering how Maximilian was going to react to that. And a lot of people who were reacting to this were also saying they wanted to see Maximilian's reaction. And I've seen it, and oh my God. Like, it got to the point where someone actually edited that reaction that he had from Marvel vs. Capcom and put Super Mario Party Jamboree in there, and to make it look like he was reacting to that. And then it's funny.
And it matched up perfectly too.
It's funny.
It does sync. I've seen that video. It does sync up very well. A little too well, I would say.
It's funny how like Capcom did the same thing to him twice. Like, well, 2 in a row. Like this in the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, then they had the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 with Capcom vs. SNK and the Power Stone games. The fact that they actually did that there, and it's like Capcom was not, both Nintendo and Capcom were not content with just that one reaction, so here's another one, and then like he just fucking blew the fuck up over that. Like, that was amazing, because like just the impact for Marvel vs. Capcom as a whole. And with how vocal the fan base was, with people wanting Marvel vs. Capcom to be freed because they want a free MVC2 because people want to be able to play that game on modern platforms and PC, and now we finally got it. And once that was announced, now the next part was basically people putting their money where their mouth is. And to be able to do that, you have to, because I kept saying people, if you really want a new Marvel vs. Capcom game, buy this collection. I don't care what platform you buy it on. Buy it, support it, and hope it sells well enough to warrant a new game, which I too have been seeing people post that they got like the Switch version and the PS4 version physically, because I knew people who were waiting for the physical copy. I'm one of those people that bought both the physical and digital because I could not wait. I could not wait for the physical copy.
Oh,
I'll eventually get the Steam version.
I wanted to ask, speaking of which, how was the comic? Because I did not get that. Because I only got the digital version.
Well, guess what?
It's tiny, I heard. I didn't open my copy yet. None of them.
Get out of here!
It's unboxing time because I forgot to do it. So it's unboxing time.
Oh, wait, you didn't even unbox it yet?
I didn't either. I didn't either. It's sitting up my desk.
I was like, I'm not gonna buy the game again for a comic. I think the one. Well, actually, I have the game twice because a good friend of mine gifted it to me on Steam, and I was like, all right, that's enough because I bought the Switch version on day one.
Yep.
There's gonna be a comic in the Capcom Fighting Collection too, by the way.
Yep, there is.
You need
That's true. Yeah.
You need the game on your home console. You need the game on your PC. You need the game to carry with your other games and your pocket game.
I will say, like I play a lot of video games when I'm taking like longer train rides, just because that's just something I have to do to see my family. And like playing MVC, like when I'm taking those long rides, is very nice. It's quite an experience.
Shellshock, what's going on?
What's going on? Look at this. You would think that there would have been amazing like reverse art.
Really? There's nothing. Wow. They don't have an interior cover.
They couldn't be bothered to put a reverse art for this. Like
that's very lame. I have never seen that because I didn't get the physical, but that's really lame.
It sucks.
I think the PlayStation 4 will be the same when I open it up.
You know what? You're right. Those variant comics, start designing right now.
Also, apparently, if you buy the PS4 version, the comic is the exact same size as the Switch one. Because I feel like this was made specifically for the Switch in mind. But I do hope they do a version of this comic, but in the standard comic book size, and that all you have to do is like mail in to Capcom and then be like, hey, can you guys give us this comic but in regular comic book size, because this is too tiny for me. But also it's funny how like in the cover Ryu is wearing a red headband, but in the actual comic he's wearing a white one, like in the Alpha series, because that's the one that they were going for.
I mean, the red headband is iconic, I get it.
Yeah, but like because around this timeline it was Alpha Ryu. And the cartridge looks exactly like it is similar to that of the one from Capcom Fighting Collection, but just with Marvel. But yeah.
Right.
Also, the other thing I want to bring up is that with a lot of people coming in, like the modding community for both Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on PC, as well as Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, like with Maximilian working on the Infinite and Beyond mod. One of my favorite things about it is seeing how colorful the characters look and the vibrant art style. One of my favorites is how they handle Venom, because they took the design from Spider-Man, the animated series from the 90s, where they would have like these red and blue streaks on the symbiote. Venom looks so amazing in that. And
that does sound very sick.
The attention to detail is what, especially considering the fact that some people who worked on like the mods for this were fans of like all these Marvel TV shows growing up back in the 90s and even in the early 2000s, and they want to incorporate some of that stuff into these mods to show how much they love and care about Marvel as a whole, and especially with the Capcom games as well. I do hope they start finding a way to import some characters from Marvel 3 to Marvel Infinite and have them play in that style.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's got to be very difficult to do, though. There's no way that's an easy process. If that's even possible.
Like
We're spending a lot of money on that.
like the X-Men are basically like the main ones people want to put in just because they should have been there. Like, and Doctor Doom as well. Like Doctor Doom and the X-Men. Marvel feels so weird without like X-Men or Fantastic Four characters, especially with Doctor Doom since he's a Fantastic Four villain. But as far as the future goes, I can't really comment on when I think we're going to see them. But all I'm going to say is I hope it's sooner rather than later. And obviously, I don't mean sooner by tomorrow, but at least like we know it's coming rather than not coming at all.
2 years, do you think?
Yeah, we'll see.
I still stand by my what I said earlier about how I think if we get a new MVC game, it'll be after Street Fighter 6 finishes up. I think that makes the most sense to me because I've noticed they really want to keep one game per genre nowadays.
Yeah, I would consider having like a double B game, a double A. I'm sorry, whoa, what's up with me with the double B's? Anyway, a double A game rather than triple A because you can have your triple A games, you can have your Marvel, not Marvel, you can have your Street Fighter, you can have your Resident Evil. Has been another one. I think Phoenix Wright has been another triple A game for them, but in the sense of like the Switch or their handheld.
I think it's a double A actually, but
Phoenix Wright A3 is definitely double or even single A for the first two games, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely possible for Marvel vs. Capcom to have a lower budget for something like that, but just because of the amount of rights that you need for that type of thing, I just don't think it makes sense. Like in their eyes.
Mm-hmm. Like the way I'm looking at it, it's like Street Fighter is basically a really nice steak dinner. Marvel vs. Capcom is a fucking steak buffet.
Yeah.
No, Marvel vs. Capcom, it's an ice cream, okay? Maximilian.
An ice cream. Ooh.
Okay, hold it. You do not. It's already been discussed about in terms of food, okay? In terms of food, Marvel vs. Capcom is an ice cream.
I would say it's a banana split since it combines different things, like it combines different flavors.
I like that, like the banana, because the banana split is like an ultimate dessert. You don't.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Nice.
Ultimate.
You need sugar in it. You need to put sprinkles on top of it. You got to put some rocks on top of it.
It's one of those desserts in which that you don't want to have it too often, but when you have it, it hits.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about Marvel vs. Capcom. So
now you're making me crave a banana split.
Same. I want it now. But next thing is, before we go to community questions, the next question is, and we'll go with you, Zeno, for this one to start with. How much is Marvel vs. Capcom meant to you?
Compared to other games as well, it's not like a huge deal, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it from the beginning to where we are right now, it's definitely a term of nostalgia where all the design of the characters, the music, the background, the story and such, it's one of those games which I definitely grew up with and pretty much remember a time in which things were not as simple as it is, but still endearing. I don't know if endearing is the right word. Somebody in the chat, please correct me on that. But in the best way to express about it, it's one of those games I definitely like to go back every now and then.
Yeah.
Pretty much enjoy going through the single player mode, sucking as well. Playing it with my friend, the Gaming Heel, and even get a chance to play with my bro from North Carolina. So I got to get him an arcade stick as well, or a much better controller because the one that I have suck.
Yeah.
So it's definitely pretty much a nostalgia road to be able to check up on the artwork, see their progress, where it grew up from, and relive the moment. Even get an opportunity to play the Japanese version, which I'd never even done up until this point.
Mhm.
So it's just freaking nostalgic to go through it. If number 4 or 5 or whatever comes out, please just put in all the characters that we know of.
Yeah. All right. Soan, your turn.
How much does it mean to me? In general, I like Capcom versus games, including Capcom versus SNK and Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Yes.
That if it wasn't for Marvel, those probably wouldn't have existed.
Right.
So that's why it is a big part of the fighting game genre. So that's how much it means to me.
All right. Very good. 112.
So, admittedly, I'm trying to think how to say this. Admittedly, it's definitely not a fighting game franchise that I'm quite as familiar with compared to some other ones. And if you asked me this question, let's say like 3 or 4 years ago, I would say it means a decent bit, and it's definitely in the upper echelon of like my favorite fighting games, but it's definitely not like number 1. Now, I would say it's second or third, frankly, especially after the collection, just because that collection, I've wanted that collection for so long, just so I could actually really dig into it. Because I remember playing it in the arcades and just like really getting to know these characters and like being able to do that on a Nintendo console, like when I'm out and about, because I travel a decent bit.
Yeah.
And being able to do that now, I've really gained a deeper appreciation for this franchise, and I want there to be more of it, and because it's a different type of tag team fighting game than something like King of Fighters or any other one. I'm having trouble thinking of another tag team fighter. Oops. Dragon Ball, I think?
Yeah, Dragon Ball.
Spider Z tag team?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So,
no, just kidding.
or Blaze Blue, that's another one.
Blaze Blue, yeah.
But I would say MVC I definitely prefer to those franchises. I would say it's like my second or third favorite fighting game franchise. It's a really good series. I really enjoy the characters. Despite what I said earlier about how none of the games are balanced, it's still really fun to play, even if you take it more seriously. But I would say on its whole, it's sort of the ultimate crossover in the sense that it is probably, like, even in a post-Super Smash Bros. Ultimate world, the roster of Marvel vs. Capcom, especially 2, and honestly to an extent 3 as well, sort of shows that's the type of crossover when people think of crossovers as a concept. Yep. So I would say yes, it means quite a bit to me.
For me, the whole series, it means a whole lot. Because it opened up a lot of stuff for Capcom for me. Because that's how I discovered a lot of Capcom series. Like, I was already familiar with Street Fighter. I was kind of familiar with Darkstalkers because the first game in the series I played was the first one. And then I also was playing Vampire Savior, so seeing Morgan there was pretty cool. And I was also already familiar with Mega Man because my first Mega Man game was Mega Man 3, and I've also watched the cartoon back in the day. And speaking of cartoons, I was also watching a lot of the Marvel cartoons, like watching mainly the Spider-Man and X-Men, but there was also there was a 1 hour block that took place on Sundays from 94 to 96. It was called Marvel Action Hour. It had Iron Man and Fantastic Four back then. I enjoyed both of those shows. And there was also an Incredible Hulk cartoon that came a little later. Just the cartoons, collecting the toys back then, and then playing a bunch of video games, including the Marvel vs. Capcom games, was what pushed me to actually enjoy Marvel more than even DC. I was more than Marvel than DC.
That's impressive.
It actually pushed me to like Marvel more than DC. And then when the movies came out, I was even more. It actually got me even more hyped for when the X-Men movies would come out, and I was even more hyped when Spider-Man would get the movies.
Right.
And then the whole MCU, seeing that unfold, seeing like the characters start integrating into the same universe, like Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor, and Captain America, and all them, all becoming members of the Avengers. like at the time I was like, it just doesn't get any better. I was just loving this, like all the Marvel stuff. But in the context of Marvel vs. Capcom as a whole, like just the games themselves were a lot of fun. Like obviously Street Fighter is meant to be more serious, and these games you don't really need to take them seriously. You just want to have fun because
yeah,
like
it is definitely one of the best fighting game franchises for just like having fun. I completely agree.
Exactly, and it's like Capcom actually took a lot for the Capcom characters and their playstyles. They took inspiration from a lot of anime or the live action tokusatsu shows and kaiju shows. Like I know that they would take some random superheroes that were famous in Japan and integrate them into like Mega Man. They used like a couple of Japanese superheroes to make some of his moves believable, like the Hyper Mega Man. That's definitely inspiration from some Japanese shows.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Same thing with, and I always felt that Ryu doing the beam Shinku Hadouken was taken directly from Dragon Ball Z when Goku would do the Kamehameha waves. Like they just took
when I first saw that.
Oh,
and considering
everything goes back to Dragon Ball. That's just that's generally correct.
Oh,
yes.
Shellshock. When you say something, everything has been directed from Japan. So you say anytime Spider-Man attacks, it is taken from the Japanese Spider-Man where he slapped people.
I mean, sure. Captain Commando pretty much has stuff like that. Same thing with, and honestly, out of all the Capcom characters that they introduced in Marvel vs. Capcom that I discovered and absolutely fell in love with, the one that I fell in love with the most was Strider. Strider was the one I fell in love with out of all those characters. Like Captain Commando was great, Jin was great. Like because I'd been wanting to play Jin's game for years, and then when I finally got to play Cyberbots, I don't remember what was the first. It might have been actually. I think I might have emulated it and didn't really play too much of it.
I'm playing that right now.
But I did play it like in the Capcom Arcade Stadium because it was on there, and then they later put it in Capcom Fighting Collection so you could play online with that. And that game's fun. That game was fun. Just discovering these characters, and then Marvel 2, like just seeing, like, because at the time I had no idea that Ruby Heart and Mingo were original characters, and then it turned out that Soan is the granddaughter of the original Soan from the arcade game. Yes.
Hey, I remember when because I knew about Soan before I played Marvel vs. Capcom. And I remember, like, I've never heard anyone bring up Soan. So when I saw her for the first time in MVC2, remember when I talked about how the first time I played it in the arcade, I was like, is that Soan? I was like, what?
Yep.
They remembered that character? At the time, I did not know that was supposed to be a different character. So I thought it was legit Soan.
Yep.
I was very, very surprised.
Shellshock, you actually want to be able to share something from the chat?
Yeah, because give me a second. Oh my god.
I'm surprised Tony Stark actually
So,
filed for bankruptcy.
I'm looking in the open chat, like, yeah, because it's basically Mega Man being in awe of Tony Stark's new suit. Hey, kid, check this. Is it a new suit? Yep, Disney money, baby. Because with Disney money, Tony Stark is able to afford new tech. But he's all about that money life. But yeah. Anyway, but yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom means a lot to me because I just love having fun playing these games, whether it's with my brother, with friends, and now like with this collection that it gives us a brand new generation of people who will get to enjoy these games for the very first time, or people who are lapsed fans that have been wanting to play these games for years and never had any official access to them. Now they do. So,
and it's arcade glory.
So now we get that opportunity, and I'm going to say this right now. If there's any input lag in these, it's very, very little, because it feels closer to how they do in the arcades. I've had a great experience, and funny enough, Switch version actually runs
It's the
amazing.
best one, yeah. It's actually the best one.
It's actually the best version. You would not think the Switch version of any game would be the best version, but it actually is. It's great. Like they did a great job.
Yeah, I think you could increase or decrease the input lag as well. They've put a lot of more work and effort into this one compared to the previous release.
Exactly. Like they did a great job. But yeah. So let's do the community questions. We have a couple.
Right.
We're gonna start with
All
Mr.
right.
We're gonna start with Mr. Ben. So we have Marvel versus Capcom, SNK versus Capcom, Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Which multimedia corporation is Capcom going to go toe-to-toe with next? Personally, I like to see Toei versus Capcom, but DC versus Capcom would be pretty cool. Yeah, both of those would be good. But honestly, I got one for you.
Oh boy.
All right, so I would actually like Nickelodeon versus Capcom, and the thing, and the thing with Nickelodeon is Nickelodeon not only has their own characters, but they like because you have access to Garfield, Ninja Turtles, you have the Avatar, the Last Airbender. I would say Nickelodeon like would be really cool. Like imagine being able to play as fucking Tommy Pickles from Rugrats, or if you play as Invader Zim, you play as Arnold from Hey Arnold, or even Helga. I could go on and on. Like I could even go as far as to say that, like if you want the most ridiculous character from Nickelodeon that could go toe to toe with any of the Capcom characters, I would personally love to see Powder Toast Man or Reptar.
No.
Because here's the thing: we have two Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl games. You could have Jenny XJ9 from My Life as a Teenage Robot to go against Mega Man, and who would Ryu go up against? He's going to be going up against SpongeBob SquarePants, because SpongeBob would be the main Nickelodeon character, since Ryu's the main Capcom character for these games. So
in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, this is going to be the dumbest question ever. Is SpongeBob a Shoto? Because if so, that is very funny.
not exactly a Shoto, but he is, however, just the de facto main character.
Okay, so he's the Mario of the game. Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, so
Stop it.
so OneOneTwo. Who would you?
I read it.
What would be a big multimedia crossover you want to see Capcom go toe to toe with?
Oh, geez. I mean, usually when I answer questions like this, I try to go with the most logical answer, which is impossible in a question like this because anything. And especially because honestly, Marvel vs. Capcom in and of itself is crazy, and like, you know, most people probably didn't expect that before it was announced. I feel like, honestly, I would really enjoy seeing, instead of Marvel versus Capcom, I would honestly really enjoy seeing like a Nintendo versus Capcom, because Capcom has always been a sort of on Nintendo platforms for a very, very long time. We kind of already have that with Smash Bros. I get it, and like it definitely might intrude on that, but I don't know, like, sort of drilling down on that does sound very, very fun. And because MVC is already a very, like, slapstick cartoony game, that works very well with Nintendo characters, for the most part, at least.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That would be fun. Or I'll throw another one out there just real quick. Namco x Capcom, not the tactical RPG, an actual fighting game, that would be sick.
Yes, I would play the fuck out of that one.
Yeah.
Though I would for the main Namco character to go up against Ryu, like, because obviously the two choices are either Jin or Kazuya. It's more likely going to be Jin, but I would prefer Kazuya in my opinion. But we'll see what they do if they ever decide to go that route. Would be great.
Well, after Street Fighter Cross Tekken was a disaster, I don't know, but I mean, if you want to redeem yourself with that type of crossover, do an actual Namco versus Capcom.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what to say about Street Fighter Cross Tekken. It's not a bad game,
It's
but
just Capcom kind of messed it up. If they fumbled,
It was greed was what killed it. The game was fine-ish, but there was the monetization on that was absurd.
like
Even by today's standards, I think it was absurd.
basically, in other words, they pretty much fumbled the bag.
Yeah.
plus they had too many games on their platform. If I recall, Street Fighter was also reaching to their ultimate form. I believe their final release. Plus, there was another Capcom game that they were also focusing on. So it kind of like blew away the attention of Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I believe the best person who did discuss about this at great length would be Matt McMuscles.
He did, yeah.
Explained it in great length as to what happened. Wait, I'm sorry. What happened?
Oh yeah.
To Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Mm-hmm. Like, an oversaturation of fighting games because like they were releasing a lot of them close to each other, and not only that, but also this also hurt the Darkstalkers collection, and also Capcom released Marvel vs. Capcom Origin, which had Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and Marvel Superheroes, and releasing these games close to each other was not a good move at the end of the day, because all you're doing is doing a fighting game fatigue, which they may not have seen that, but the fans definitely seen it, and people were starting to feel it, because being able to buy all these games separately very close to each other and not spacing them out is just going to make you burn out at some point.
Well, that's exactly why Capcom has just been releasing less games, honestly. Also because of the pandemic, but I mean, I think it's partially pandemic delayed everything and partially intentional strategy.
Exactly.
I think it's strategy right now. It's a good strategy.
Now it's
be
definitely
honest.
strategy for sure.
It's mostly strategy. Pandemic did delay some stuff, but I've done game designing. It's definitely still possible to be able to do this remote work, but in terms of meeting it all together, time zones and all that, that's where the big issue lies. But designing and balancing and such, it shouldn't be much of an issue.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be wrong on that one, but yeah, all this designing and stuff.
But Zeno, now what would be the company you would go for?
Okay, first off, whoever said DC versus Capcom, get out of here. Because
No.
yeah, because remember DC is with
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. And there won't be any more DC fighting games. They've stated that in the past.
That sucks though.
Yeah. It's funny because I've also looked into the past where it's like, oh, we're gonna get Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. Is like, no.
That's never gonna happen.
Look,
Sorry.
Ed Boon would be willing to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
He's a great game designer. He's a great developer and such. All right, but I believe there are limitations to it. If you want my honest opinion on what I've felt in terms of a crossover, it may has already happened, but keep in mind that there were guest characters and not legit crossover. All right, Power Rangers and Capcom.
yes.
The best
Nice.
crossover, because you have Bison, you have Gil, you have who else are we speaking about? JP? Nah, he's not ready yet.
You can get Jeddah from Darkstalkers, Pyron, you can get Sigma.
That's a good answer, Power Rangers, yeah.
And the Power Rangers, definitely, it's over 30 years. Their legacy has been pretty much up there. The fact that you can get not just the Mighty Morphin, so to say, but you could get the Time Rangers. You could get the Dino Charge Rangers. You could also boost Power Rangers Overdrive. All right, yeah. Actually, that's the second piece of crap of the Power Rangers. Here's the first one.
The Turbo.
I'm out of here. out of here.
Okay, but here's the thing, because with Battle for the Grid,
I'm out of here.
Like Battle
you
for
ruined it.
Because
You ruined
because
it.
I haven't played Battle for the Grid, but I've seen it, and it does have inspiration from Marvel vs. Capcom, and the fact that they even have both Ryu and Chun-Li in the game as guest characters, it worked. So yes, I will definitely see Power Rangers versus Capcom.
I'm talking about the Mega Force. I can't believe you said that. But even the villains should be involved as well. Rita Repulsa, Demetria.
Yeah.
I forgot the other, the one from In Space.
Astronema.
Astronema.
But I will say this though,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having like the Mega Man ZX and also Mega Man Battle Network characters in the Power Rangers crossover. I feel like Mega Man and Power Rangers would fit in very well with each other.
Mega Man Battle Network did a crossover with Metabots, and that actually worked not surprisingly, but it worked very well. So I could see it working in a similar vein. I would say for that one, ZX makes more logical sense in terms of like theming, just because ZX takes very obvious inspiration from Super Sentai. I mean, the transformation sequence for Model X and all those characters are like the same thing, but logically they would probably have Classic just because it's the most popular one, or Battle Network because that's also very popular.
Yes. All right. So, Soan, what about you? Pick any multimedia franchise to go up against Capcom.
Well, there is a fan game in the works called Sega versus Capcom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be so bad. But I was kind of thinking of something that came up during the Hub era. Hasbro versus Capcom.
Oh yeah, because that was
Oh my god!
Dude.
I've not heard that before.
like
So no, I was thinking I was picturing because they had all these shows because MLP, Transformers, GI Joe, all those characters, even Gem. I think they were going to make one. All you could get Snake Eyes versus Dante, Twilight versus Ryu, and stuff like that.
how about Uncle Pennybags from Monopoly, the Monopoly guy?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Is this going to be legit that we're going to have My Little Pony
Yes.
actually fight?
Yes. Well, there was a fan game too, so
Pretty
yes.
sure them fighting herds are going to have an issue with it.
oh no!
That's Fighting
they're
Hers.
down.
Well, That's Fighting Hers is actually not bad though. It's fun, but I have one more before we move on to the next thing, the next community question. Square Enix versus Capcom. Oh my god.
Ooh.
Probably.
The only thing is, if they have Kingdom Hearts reps, they can't use Disney characters. It has to be just the original characters like Sora or Riku.
Honestly, the time to do that would have been before they sold all the Tomb Raider stuff to Embracer, because Tomb Raider, like Lara Croft, would have fit right in with that.
Yes.
I mean,
Who
why
owns
not-
Tomb Raider now?
Embracer Group.
Embracer. That's why I
Oh,
mentioned that.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay.
Why not have Dead or Alive versus Capcom, but only the ladies?
That's Koei Tecmo.
I mean, okay,
And-
I'm not saying it's because it's a bad idea. Good idea. Tecmo hates Capcom. Those two do not like each other.
Yep. Like, so, and the thing is, as long as the two companies have bad blood, you're never going to it's a shame because I would have loved to have seen a fucking Ninja Gaiden Strider crossover. It's never going to fucking happen unless the two companies decide to settle things.
Well,
but which
And that's not, yeah.
Not happening
It
anytime
sucks
soon.
because, especially after that lawsuit that happened between them, I just don't think that they would ever want to cooperate. Unfortunately.
yeah, it's bad blood. But yeah, next question comes from Kevin the Time Geek. Which characters from each company would you add to the roster for a new Marvel vs. Capcom game? One for each company, preferably. Feel free to go as outrageous and crazy as possible with your picks. You want me to go crazy? I'm gonna fucking go crazy. I'm gonna pick 3 characters for each. Number one, and let's start with Marvel first. Okay. They have never been in any of the games of the series. Here's who I would go with.
In the game. Okay.
The first one I'm going to go with, and this is going to be the biggest, because obviously I'm not going to say Miles Morales, because I know for a fact that if there's a new Marvel vs. Capcom game, he's going to be the very first character they're going to confirm.
That's absolutely true.
As the new character. But
Somebody play Sunflower.
I'm going to give you the most ridiculous, bonkers, out of this world character. So there was a joke character in the Spider-Man universe called the Amazing Spider-Ham. I would like to see the Amazing Spider-Ham in there with like all the cartoon physics he has. All the joke character he would be the joke character to end all joke characters in Marvel vs. Capcom.
That's like a Servbot type character.
Yes. So that's one. Number two, and here's one that I would like to see. So if we were going to get another Spider-Man villain, and if you want me to go crazy with this one, I would like to see just how in the hell could they pull off the Green Goblin. I really want to see how can they pull off the Green Goblin in Marvel vs. Capcom. He'll throw pumpkins. He'll be able to have his glider. But here's the thing. Norman Osborn is the most incoherent person. He could pretty much do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, if he wants to be able to, like, because he's able to easily manipulate people. He was able to manipulate his own son in order to be able to go after Spider-Man in the past. Honestly, Green Goblin could be fun. And at number three, if I had to go with number three, I would like to see Mr. Sinister from the X-Men series. I like to see.
I hate that guy.
I would like to see just how he would play. He would probably summon like a random clone character of whoever it is that he's facing off against, or he would probably find ways to control you. He's just that crazy. But Capcom, all right, 3 characters never before seen in Marvel vs. Capcom. Okay, so number one, so I know we got the Monster Hunter in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. How would you guys feel if you were able to play as Rathalos or any of the monsters?
I would say he's too big, but Ridley. So I feel like I can't say that anymore after Ridley got in the Smash.
Yeah, please do me a solid. Do not put in the Monster Hunter monster in there because I go crazy for it.
All right. Okay, then. All right. Well,
no, you can make Rathalos work. I just like. If you asked me this question before Smash Ultimate came out, I would have said he's too big. But now I feel like that sort of was broke down that glass ceiling, so to speak.
Yeah.
It was a boss character in those 2 games, if I'm correct.
That's true.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Now all I'm thinking to myself is, yo, Shellshock, yo, OneOneTwo, yo, Soan, grab your shit. Let's go hunting. Hunting we will go.
Well.
First, we gotta eat grub first.
The next character that I'm gonna go with from Capcom, I personally would like to see them have. So when there is a Capcom series that has never been represented in Marvel vs. Capcom or any versus series for that matter, and I would personally think that if they ever decided to do it, I think that they should actually have this was an assist character in Marvel vs. Capcom 1. I honestly think that they should add Lou from 3 Wonders into the game.
Oh, that's a good one.
One of those characters I never even know.
That's a good one.
He's a character I've been wanting in Marvel vs. Capcom game for a long time. So, and the other one I would go with either Falcon or Rouge from Power Stone. How about Power Stone, Brass?
Nice, Falcon.
That was a missed opportunity with the movie.
All right.
He was in the background in Capcom vs. Kesuke too, at least.
It was. 1-1-2, you're up. Pick any character you want from Marvel and Capcom that's never been in. And if you want to go crazy, go crazy.
I got like a couple, so to say. Of course, with the Capcom,
well,
you put it in a Leon Kennedy. I mean,
agreed, 100%.
I get Jill Valentine. I get Chris Redfield. I mean, Chris Redfield.
I'm tired of Chris, actually.
Yeah, I'm tired of
Chris.
He took steroids and punched boulders.
Okay, that's true.
But yeah,
all right.
Jill is better. I'm sorry.
All right.
At least 2 version. Yeah.
Resident Evil 1 and 3, right?
Was
Yes.
Chris,
6.
No. That's what I meant. Not Ultimate Marvel.
What was it? Yeah, Leon Kennedy definitely, with his recent release of Resident Evil 4 remake, his role in Resident Evil 2 and 4, and maybe to some par 6.
yeah.
Dude is just so freaking fantastic. Great CQC, able to use multiple weapons. Like, you could be able to put him similar to like Chris Redfield or Jill, but the dude is like legit with a knife. Another character I feel should have been in Marvel vs. Capcom, Azura. I mean, seriously,
Azura's Wrath, yeah.
He
okay.
fought
Yeah.
Ryu and Akuma on the moon.
Yeah, the DLC, right?
Somehow Ryu and Akuma could breathe in the moon. It's like one of the best hidden gem anime games out there. The gameplay, forget it, but you're only there for the anime. And on top of that, Azura is the perfect character when it comes to Marvel vs. Capcom. 6 arms, 12 arms, muscles upon muscles upon muscles. His anger, perfect when you go with any combination of any character. Lastly, you put in any other character from Beautiful Joe, I'm down with it. Beautiful Joe and his girlfriend Sylvia, that would have been very fantastic. It's gonna be like Yatta Man and Yatta Man. Well, Yatta Man 1 and
Was he 3?
Beautiful Joe was in
Marvel 3.
He was a
Marvel
Marvel
3.
yes, he was.
Even Marvel 3, yeah.
Yeah.
He is also in Tatsunoko.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Right.
Yes.
But you also put in Sylvia in there. That's a great combination to go
True.
along.
Wouldn't mind.
I mean, yeah. Far as Marvel would go, you got recent characters. You got Star-Lord. You got Adam Warlock. I'm sorry if I'm taking some of your characters.
I was gonna say Star-Lord, so I'll pick someone else.
No. You put him in there because there is one character, in my opinion. I don't know if any of y'all are going to be able to put it. If you want to go freaking absurd, you put in this one character. As a matter of fact, Shellshock, is there any way we could be able to share
Share what?
footage here? Can I replace my image with something? I would willing to give you.
Or what do you want to replace it with?
All right. I'll show you.
Go ahead.
I'll show you. As a matter of fact, I'll send it to you as to who should be in there. While I'm gonna grab it, go ahead.
All right,
Continue on.
all right, 112, you go ahead.
So I'm gonna keep it to 1 each, just because the question originally said keep it to 1 each. Anyone who knows me probably immediately expects my answer to be a Mega Man character for the Capcom side, and you are right. I was thinking of a Mega Man character. I really want to see Mega Man.exe at this point. He is in Onimusha Blade Warriors, and he's actually quite fun in that game. But that's a really different type of fighting game. It's 3D. It's more of an arena fighter than anything else.
Yeah.
I want to see him in a traditional 2D fighting game, especially with the resurgence of Mega Man Battle Network in recent years. And his play style with chips would be so interesting. I would love to see how that would work in a Marvel vs. Capcom game. And his supers, dude, if they have like the double souls or the cross system or something like that, I'm done. Like that, I would be so hyped. So I would say Mega Man.exe easily for Capcom.
What if his super is similar to Smash Bros? If you do not have any other Mega Man, he actually has.
Oh, instead of Black Hole Bomb, I guess it'd be what? Like, oh my god. Trying to think of a chip that does something similar. Hole, literally the whole chip. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I would say, how can EXE work in the real world? Noble Boy, Mega Man Battle Network 6, remember? The copy bots? He's already been in the real world. And granted, there's some shenanigans with lore from Battle Network 6, but it's a crossover, who cares? So, but yeah, that's how that I would love to see Mega Man.exe.
Yep.
Now for Marvel, Star-Lord was actually originally my answer, so I am going to pick someone else.
Did I just Star-Lord 1112? Sorry.
Go on.
All right, continue.
Yeah, no, I would have. Star-Lord has been one of my favorite Marvel characters for quite some time, ever since I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, honestly. So yeah, I would love to see Star-Lord. His play style would be so interesting, especially if he can like hover or something like that. Like, okay, well now I'm just drawing from Firebrand because I play that character too much in three.
No,
but
he definitely flies and
yeah, exactly. Like I like the flying characters, so Star-Lord for that.
Yeah.
If I had to choose someone other than Star-Lord, because it was already taken, I would say Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man. That would be a really interesting character. Maybe something more like Shuma Gorath, where it's more tricky and you have to play more like tactically. That would be really fun. So yeah, my final answer is Mega Man.exe, and I mean you said someone else the other day, so I'm gonna say Star-Lord, but if you don't count that, then Dr. Octopus.
All right.
definitely. I mean, yeah, that's yours because I said Shellshock.
Yeah.
The one.
Yeah, so Mega Man.exe and Star-Lord are my answer.
Yeah, and I also put like an image of Jeff the Shark from Marvel Rivals because Zeno sent it to me. Like, I first seen this character in Marvel Snap, and then it's like, apparently he's a popular character. I don't know too much about him, because like he's a more recent character, but
He's so freaking adorable.
but a lot of people love him.
Yeah.
Like, because I know in Marvel Snap, the way it works is that you can move whatever space you want, and no effect that is supposed to block it can stop him from doing so. So if he's able to move, he's able to move, and nothing can stop him.
If you could put Amaterasu in Marvel vs. Capcom, all right? If you could do that, then you could do it for Jeff. Do it,
Okay,
Capcom.
sure.
But Amaterasu is the protagonist of the game.
Like,
Jeff is more cuter than Amaterasu.
this would be like,
Oh no! That is not true. Disagree 100%.
Okay.
I completely disagree with that statement.
anyway,
Don't you see him with his cute, cuddly,
anyway.
It works. Okay, it works. Go on.
Okay,
Let's go.
so your characters.
Oh yeah. Okay. So one on each side. I wrote this out while you guys talking. One is it was ruined when Marvel 3 was coming out. Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, Squirrel Girl.
That's a good choice.
I just don't know what her playstyle would be. That's why I was kind of interested, because the image I got when they released that was with Phoenix Wright and Squirrel Girl, like a fake screenshot of it, and it was really good. I have it saved somewhere in my computer. I don't know where it is. And Capcom sign John Telbane, because
Yeah, my main from Darkstalkers.
Yeah.
yeah, he's my main too. He's a great air juggler in Vampire
Absolutely.
Savior, so he would be perfect. And he's a wolverine, so I mean that's amazing as itself.
That's true.
Yep.
That does nunchucks.
I definitely would like to see Drax in it, but you got to be able to have voice Drax as well.
Oh yeah,
Well,
those are my two.
Yeah, if Marvel vs. Capcom 4 once again have another story mode, you got to put in Drax, please. Have Dave Bautista reprise the role.
Sure.
of Drax.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next question is from Shad. Which Marvel character and which Capcom character were the worst picks that they included in any of the games, in your opinion? Oh man. Okay. So
Oof, gotta think this through.
okay. The easiest answer I could come up with for Marvel vs. Capcom's 1 and 2, the worst character in both of those games is Roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty easily.
Servbot, I know people will probably bring him up, but I think I actually had a lot more fun with Servbot in Marvel 2 than I did with Roll. For the Marvel side, if I had to think of who I think was the worst character that was never really good at all in any of them, because I know in Marvel 3, I'm going to go with MODOK. For any of the older Marvel games, I'm going to go with... I personally never really cared that much about Silver Samurai. Like, I never understood...
My choice, yeah.
I never understood his character. I know that he had beef with Wolverine in the comics and in the cartoon as well, but that's about it. Uh, and if I had to pick another one, I never really thought was that good at all in any of them. I personally never really saw any type of appeal at all with there was this character in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but also like they appeared in other game. Oh, actually, okay,
Who is it?
it's just a Marvel
Maybe
vs.
I know
Capcom
it.
2 character. Um, I don't like Amigo that much. I mean, he's okay, but I don't like him that much. I don't think he's the worst character. Roll's still the worst character, but his playstyle is just not for me. But
I
that's
thought
it.
he was an original character, actually.
He is the original
He is the
character.
original character.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Personally, I would say definitely Surfbot would be on the top of the list when it comes to the Capcom characters, because looking at also UMVC 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird because you could be able to find something broken with some of these characters. I think somebody found something broken with what's his name? Arthur.
Arthur, yeah.
Yeah.
You're able
Ghosts and
to,
Goblins, baby.
yeah, where if you're able to use the shield. But I think he's also one. No, I don't think he's one of the worst ones in it.
No.
It was actually
Not even close.
Phoenix Wright. Yeah, it was either Phoenix Wright or MODOK. Even She-Hulk was able to be good in it. But in terms of the Capcom, definitely Roll was one of them, but she was actually pretty fun in Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, that's when it becomes entirely different. Definitely, I would say Roll and Surfbot.
Roll was really good in Tatsunoko, though.
She's amazing. I would say she's one of the best characters in the game.
Yes.
In Tatsunoko.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
also keep in mind, you also got to keep in mind that that's a different role compared to the one from
Yes.
Marvel vs. Capcom.
That's
Yes,
true.
yes.
Oranges and apples, so to say. I
Right.
definitely have to agree with you about Silver Samurai because, yeah, he has. It's all about the Yakuza stuff when it comes to the Silver Samurai. But I recall seeing a video from. Get that out of here!
No.
Nobody cares about base.
No. I want base.exe in that. Give me base.exe.
If I recall, somebody who actually looks into like special moves in Marvel's, fighting games in general, he covers great portion of fighting games. He actually describes Silver Samurai's special attacks, where you get 3 different elements as pretty useless. Especially if I recall, I don't know if it's the ice or the fire element that becomes pretty useless when using Silver Samurai. And in a game where everything is just like balls to the walls on acid, Silver Samurai makes you feel like you're playing normal. It just does not work whatsoever. Hopefully in the future they'll be able to do something better with Silver Samurai.
Yeah.
Because that's actually one of the he's actually pretty important in Wolverine's life, unfortunately. Like anybody around Wolverine, they're gonna be important in some shape or form.
Yes.
But those two, I would say those 2 or 3 are the weakest.
Okay. 112.
So just to make sure I understand the question, it's which is the worst character from both sides, or
Yeah, that they included
Yeah.
any of the games. Yes. For
Yeah.
both Marvel and Capcom.
Ooh.
I mean, you can also
I mean, this is cheating, but Noromaru, he's not good. He's not a good character. I'm sorry,
okay.
no disrespect to the comedian. I'm sure he's very funny. He's not good in Marvel vs. Capcom 1. There's a reason why he is not in the American version. Yes, it is because of licensing. I don't care. I still think part of it was also because he was just not fun to play as.
Fun fact, apparently Marvel was not happy with Capcom adding him in there.
That's
wow.
interesting.
The deal is when you have a crossover like Marvel versus Street Fighter, having an outsider joining in really could ruffle the feathers. This isn't like Smash Bros or Fighters Mega Mix or uh, Capcom versus SNK. This is Marvel versus Street Fighter. It's kind of like having my best opinion, like Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, and out of nowhere you put in Jason from the horror films as a DLC character or as a base roster.
That came later, though.
No. What I'm saying is like you have it's the basic premise.
Yeah.
Marvel versus Street Fighter. Then you have an outsider. I'm not saying that he's an outsider, but he's not connected to Marvel. He's not connected to Capcom. He's just a comedian, so to say, a joke character.
Yeah.
Yeah, never been in any other game. So you have somebody that has no such connection whatsoever, and then put him in.
Yes, agreed.
I'm upset about that one as well.
Yes.
I get what you're saying on that.
Yeah, and also just like I said, I just don't think he's fun to play as. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, I could probably think of better joke characters than him.
But even like, okay, Dan is not a good character. I like playing as Dan because he's stupid.
Yeah.
That's a good type of joke character, in my opinion.
He's actually really good in Street Fighter 4, though.
That's okay. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He stopped being that much of a joke and actually somewhat became kind of decent.
No,
Yeah.
he's still a joke.
But like,
He is a joke, but it's fun. But anyway.
How many
Regardless,
matches did he win?
I haven't played Street Fighter 4 in a long time. Not that many, but I've seen it happen. I've definitely won as Dan like once or twice.
Yep. Any other
He
characters?
even lost to someone from from Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Any other characters? 112.
That's the only one that I can really think of that I really would say I wish this character wasn't in the game.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't really have anyone else. I think the rest of the characters are great.
All right. Soan?
Okay, so this is not like I hate this, but it's kind of like a question. Why are there two Wolverines in Marvel 2?
Okay,
Why
I'm go-
couldn't they just combine them two?
Okay, allow me to explain.
Yeah,
that.
go on.
So,
Yeah.
I'll
Go
explain that one. Okay, so the original plan was that Capcom was going to just do only the Bone Claw. The original plan was to just do only Bone Claw, but then Marvel said that no, we do not want that one. We just want the adamantium claws. And the Capcom was like, you know what? Let's just use both. So they could have made one more new character, but instead they decided to give us two Wolverines because the only new characters in the Marvel side they added were Cable and Marrow. And the reason Marrow ended up making it into Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is because there was a storyline in the comics with the Morlocks, which she was a part of, and she was in that storyline, so Capcom decided to use her. But, okay, so going back to your point, Soan, continue.
That would be still my choice, though. I would combine the character and make it one character.
I mean,
Keep Bone Claw because I trust Capcom's judgment because they're the one making the game. I like aluminum. That's fine. It's cool. For the Capcom side, I would say Jill from Ultimate or Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I wish they made her into from the second version. So those are my choices.
blonde hair Joe. Yeah, with Wolverine, I definitely would say adamantium is actually much better than Bone Claw. But the crazy thing is that I never known about Bone Claw Wolverine until I played Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yeah.
That's when I actually learned, oh, shoot, so there's Wolverine didn't really have adamantium. He had actually Bone Claw, and you can actually see the great animation work that they did with Bone Claw Wolverine compared to adamantium Wolverine.
Yeah.
But compared to the two, I mean, at that time, I would have taken adamantium way more than Bone Claw.
Yeah.
Well, I think that happened because I guess in the comics, Magneto took the metal out of him or something like that. That's what I heard. The storyline.
Well, he's over what 200 effing years, as he said.
Yeah.
So he aged less. He heals, but he always had bone claws. It wasn't until Weapon X.
Oh, okay, all right. So it's reversed. Never mind.
adamantium.
All right.
No. You are right. He did.
Yep.
That Magneto did strip the adamantium off of Wolverine and turn him into caveman Wolverine. Thankfully, that got wrecked on.
Yeah.
We don't see that in X-Men '97 season 2.
Yeah. That's what made me think of Claw.
Yep. All right. So the next question is from Dragon. Would you like this? Would you like it if the series returned to being a 2D style of fighter in terms of like the 2D look, or would you want it to go for the more 2.5D to continue on with it, or even have a full-on 3D fighting style?
Oh, hell no.
Honestly, at this point, keep it 2.5D. Keep it 2.5D right at this point. Capcom's clearly not going to go back to pixel art, and I don't think that 3D, like making it into a 3D fighter, would work. So 2.5D.
With the software programs that we have, Unreal Engine, Unity, I know there's a third couple of more out there. I'm not sure what Capcom uses these days.
Well, more likely if there's, because in Infinite they use Unreal, but if there's going to be a new game, it's going to be the RE engine.
Yeah, so keep that away. But with today's technology, graphics, so on and so forth, your best bet is you have to keep it 2.5D, keep it the way it's always been. But you need to put in a lot of detail.
Make it like Dragon Ball.
No, not like Dragon Ball, so to say, because that's actually 2D artwork. What I'm saying is...
No, it's a 3D game, actually.
Really?
So is Guilty Gear.
Yep.
There's another one.
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah.
2.5D. But the deal is, the important part about it is you have to pay attention to the detail of every single character you put in. And that's pretty
60
much...
60 FPS or bust. That's all I'm going to say. 60 FPS or bust.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
Of course, the obvious characters that you can't screw up are like Chun-Li, Dante, Captain America. You can't screw that one up, no matter which version you look at. I mean, except big chesty puff Captain America, like ugh, or the 1990 Captain America, ugh.
Oh, yeah, I remember that movie.
That movie, yeah. But other characters that you're gonna put in or return, they need to nail it on the mark in terms of detailing, because the moment you screw up on facial or design, the internet is gonna really rave on them.
Yeah,
That's true.
And this is the bad thing about today's society. I don't want to put any kind of damper to it, but when it came to like gaming back then, I think it's only the word of the mouth. Social media, internet, it's still in its primitive years, so to say. So if you get so if you get a character, let's say Rogue, you put her side to side from Marvel vs. Capcom to X-Men vs. Street Fighter, yeah. You do notice that there's like two different coloring designs, shading and such.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she still played the same. She's still that same character, so on and so forth. Now, if you do something like Chun-Li from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite to Chun-Li in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, like, really good, especially today's, the internet is really going to get at it. So, unfortunately, no matter how tough it is, and how difficult it is going to be not to please everyone.
Yeah.
It's one of those key points that you have to nail. So 2.5D is perfect. Gameplay wise, you can make it simple or you can make it modern, but you gotta make sure that the characters look like how they are, that they like how they are, and perform how they are. Otherwise, we're probably not going to have another Marvel game for another 20 years or so. Maybe never.
Yeah. What about you on this one, OneOneTwo? Like, do you think that it should still be 2.5D, or it should go the 3D route, or go back to pixel 2D?
I would say I would say I kind of agree. I really should stay 2.5D at this point. I get it. 2D pixel art style is like my favorite art style, honestly, in video games. But technology has improved, times have changed. Don't make another mistake like Infinite. Like, as you said, make the game look, presentable. But I think at this point, the industry is trending towards that sort of 2.5D look in general, like for these types of games. So I would say, yeah, 2.5D is the way to go.
Okay.
The deal is that you could do pixel art. I've seen on social medias that people are creating 2D sprites with Street Fighter characters like Jury. I've seen Psylocke work. I've seen Deadpool has usually been used in the past. It is possible to do 2D artwork, but this is Capcom we're talking about. This is pretty much a company that is out there for their community. And if you take a look at Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, to go back to 2D artwork, it just feels like you're going backwards in terms of design. And on top of that, we've already seen cinematic special attacks. We've seen Nemesis. We've seen Felicia. We've seen the best one, Ghost Rider from Ultimate Marvel vs.
Oh my god!
Just look into my eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The oldest you have created. So, how are you gonna do cinematic special attacks in 2D artwork? So
It's been done, actually.
It's been done. It's just it looks better in 2.5D in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I just think the industry is trending.
I don't disagree. I'm just pointing it out. That's
Okay.
No, you're right.
Well, yeah, but it's just compare. Okay, I think the best one I've seen would be something like Persona, so to say. How they done their 2D special attacks, their quote unquote finishers, compared to something like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Infinite. Maybe Street Fighter 6. Let's go with Street Fighter 6, something a little more modern. How they're able to use the camera angles, the character's expression, so on and so forth. It's kind of like being in a movie.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about it.
Here's a game that kind of did it. That was an indie game. Them's Fighting Herds did cinematic 2D finishers.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Yep. Soan, what about you?
2.5D all the way, and very similar. If we're talking about like how Guilty Gear does it, and how what's the other one? Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
Fighters does it. That's the way. That's amazing. That's how it should be.
Okay.
That's just.
Well, the next one is from Super Squads Plays. We kind of did answer it, but the way he asked it is there any character that hasn't been featured in the series that you believe should, and why? Blade. Because Blade, like, is a very popular character. He's had multiple movies. He should have been in the series already. So there's that. That's my answer.
Yeah,
Blade.
What?
I already said Star-Lord. I think it should have been Infinite, frankly.
Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
Screw it, Shellshock. There's only one Blade, okay? There will only ever be one Blade.
Yes,
All right.
agreed.
That's fine.
Jesus. I'm trying to be able to ask which version is like, no, there's only been one Blade in the series. Oh, my goodness. Ryan Reynolds is just looking at you right now.
Yeah.
Say definitely Azura would be it. Jeff is too soon. Is too soon. So why not bring in a character who has one of the best badass games out there, even though it's not really a good game.
But
I would say mediocre. Mediocre.
what?
It's a mediocre.
Who would that be though?
Azura.
Oh, yeah.
Azura. Yeah.
Okay, so
John Talbane.
okay. All right. Next one's a Mice pick. Did you ever play any of the Capcom, the non-Capcom Marvel fighting games? With like for example, there was this Avengers fighting game back in the 90s that was made by Data East, and also X-Men Mutant Academy. Have any of you guys played any of those games? Because I've only played a little bit of Mutant Academy, and I didn't really like it that much.
I did play Mutant Academy. Definitely, I played that. I think it was X-Men. No, not X-Men. What was the hell that game was again?
Well, X-Men Mutant Academy was definitely that, but what else?
Oh, was it that? It wasn't that one. It was Marvel Nemesis. Because I was trying
Oh God, that game! No.
What's wrong with it?
It's kind of mediocre. 112. You have an answer for that one?
I think the only non-Capcom Marvel game I've played, like that could be considered kind of retro, is Silver Surfer. I've played the NES one. That's kind of it, though. I haven't really checked those games out, honestly.
But you haven't played any like fighting games that were not made by Capcom that would Marvel?
Not really. No, I can't really answer this question, unfortunately.
Okay, seriously, 112 got to be quarantined. He played one of the worst Marvel games out there.
Okay, Silver Surfer.
Hey, the music is very good, though. You got to be.
It is amazing.
Rest in
I
peace.
downloaded the soundtrack.
Yeah, you killed a duck in that game.
Rest in peace to was it Tim or was it Jeff Folan that passed?
It's Tim.
Okay,
Tim.
yes, because he was the composer for Silver Surfer, and he went hard in that game.
I'll agree.
Yeah.
Son, what was your answer?
What was the question? No, sorry, you guys distracted me.
It's fine. It's fine. The question is if you played a Marvel fighting game that wasn't made by Capcom.
The Avengers 90s fighting game. That was the only one I played. It wasn't that great.
Okay.
I was trying to find it. I don't see it.
All right. Oh, so it was Jeff Folan that passed away. Okay, thank you.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
All right. The last question is from MMG Mike.
Hey,
with all the new Marvel Rivals games, with the new Marvel Rivals game out, it would be pretty cool to see a Capcom character crossover as a guest for Marvel Rivals. Which Marvel or Capcom characters would you want to see come to Marvel Rivals? Well, I'm about to play that game at some point soon because it's a free-to-play game because it's basically Overwatch but Marvel. But honestly, I would like to for Capcom character. I'm just gonna go with a Capcom only character for this. If we got like a random crossover, like obviously Ryu, but I would like to see like Mega Man X in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mega Man. Oh shit, my throat. I'm sorry. Somebody take over.
Well, if you want, I could probably send you some Ricola.
So my answer would be Dante. Because he's kind of like a superhero anyway.
Yeah, I was going to go with that one as well.
Yeah.
He makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Who would you go with 112?
I would say this is making a big assumption, obviously, but if it is true that a Mega Man Legends Legacy Collection is in development, Mega Man Volnut would fit very cleanly into that type of shooter. So I'm going to say Mega Man Volnut. But again, that's mostly assuming if there is actually a Mega Man Legends Legacy Collection, that would be the time to do it, to promote that game.
Yeah. All right. And with that, that's all the questions for the community questions. So that is going to wrap things up. But I really do hope we do get Marvel vs. Capcom, like a new game in the series at some point soon. Because all I'm going to say is right now, if anyone has not bought this collection yet, please do. It's out on Switch. It's out on PlayStation 4. It's out on Steam. And you could play, and if you have a PS5, you could buy the PS4 copy and play it on your PlayStation 5 as well. It will be coming out next year on Xbox. So if you really want a new game in the series, buy this collection. It's definitely worth your time. You get 7 games. Sure, the Punisher is the odd one out because it's a beat 'em up as opposed to a fighting game, but it's still
Oh, really good beat 'em up though.
it's still worth playing. And it's but honestly, I will like to see a new game, and I really do think it should be called Marvel vs. Capcom Forever. Why? Because honestly, at the end of it all, they should make a new game for the fans. Like, give the fans what they want, and just it doesn't necessarily need to be an apology of Infinite. It doesn't need to be that. Just give the fans something, and they're gonna show up.
Every video game franchise that runs for long enough is going to have dud games. I don't care what franchise it is. I'm sure someone will actually me in the comments. No, if your game franchise runs long enough, you're gonna have a stinker.
Yes, you
If
will.
it was a
Yes.
stinker, it happens. It sucked at the time. That was in 2016. We are currently in the year of our Lord 2024. It is time to move on.
Yes.
Whatever comes next comes next.
Yeah, like there's definitely a good chance for it to bounce back and actually like be well received. Like, I mean, I've seen so many different series. Like, hell, like there's been an inconsistent amount of Sonic games that have been hit and miss, and Sonic is still going on just fine. So at this point, anything can happen.
Actually, Shell, when are you posting this to YouTube, if you don't mind me asking?
This weekend.
Okay, because I was gonna amend my statement and say the year of our Lord 2025 if you were posting it next month, but no, I'll keep my original statement.
Yeah, definitely when you take a look at the history of games, I believe Fatal Fury has recently got its revival. And how long have it been since we had a new Fatal Fury game?
A very long time, like decades.
1999 was Mark of the World.
Yeah, exactly. 2 decades.
Yeah,
yes.
You take a look at Killer Instinct. That's another game.
Oh, yep.
Many people are priming for it to come back. People are saying Bloody Roar or
oh god,
Primal Rage will be also another one. Very few, because I think it was Combo Breaker or another tournament that actually had Primal Rage as a tournament selection, and they got their tiny TV all modded and such. So definitely Marvel vs. Capcom making a return. It's very prominent. It's like what you said. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be apology to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because every single if you do enjoy a series, if you really want to be able to give support to it, I believe Kenny from Yo Video Games stated that you just gotta play the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. If you
Extremely true.
Yeah. If the worst of the worst of the ones that really
agreed.
says about
Never say never.
anything negative of a game is the fan base. Unfortunately. All right.
How it goes.
Yeah. Like I said, this card right here, never say never.
Yeah.
Because you just never know. But yeah, but that's gonna do it for this episode of Share with Shellshock. OneOneTwo, Xeno, Soan, thank you so much for being a part of this. It was a lot of fun. But before we wrap things up, OneOneTwo, where can we find you?
You can mostly find me on the R Mega Man subreddit and Discord. That is reddit.com/r/Mega Man. You can also find me at discord.gg/Mega Man. I help run both. It's a great place to talk about the Blue Bomber and all things related to the Blue Bomber. You can also find me on Blue Sky. Handle is 112_112. Admittedly, I'm still getting a little used to it just because I'm so used to Twitter, but I've since basically entirely moved over. So if you want to talk to me, Blue Sky, Reddit, or Discord is the best way to do so.
Exactly. Xeno, where can we find you?
No, it's very, very simple. It's called XenoGamezTV. You go to this app right here. It's called X. That's where you can find me. If you go over here to this app right here, it's called Instagram. That's where you can find me. If you go over here on Blue Sky, that's where you can find me. And if you go over here to, I cannot show that to you. It's been banned.
Oh, right. Exposed. All right.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's not
like,
banned yet. TikTok, you can follow me there as well.
Yeah.
XenoGamezTV.
but yeah, go follow them. So where can we find you?
Here in Twitch, Soan, which is S0AN, as I mentioned before. Blue Sky is just Soan, SAOAN.
Yep.
And I'm still on Twitter, Soan Sabishi. That'd be it.
Yeah, you can pretty much find me anywhere in the stratosphere of social media, although I'm not on Twitter anymore because fuck that place. Blue Sky is the better place, and that's where you will see me a lot more at hanging out, like talking to people about anything. So the next episode is actually going to be taking place on Sunday. Actually, it's going to be taking place on Sunday. Excuse me. So this Sunday, we're gonna be doing an episode on pop culture and gaming over 30, like how it's like basically what it's like to be into video games, or like the current state of pop culture in our 30s right now compared to how it was like back when we were growing up, like the difference between like then and now, the most nostalgic stuff for us, and a lot more. That's happening this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That'll be the next episode. So with that in mind, that's going to do it for Sharing with Shellshock. This episode should be uploaded by this weekend, more likely on Sunday, if anything. But if not, I'll keep everybody posted as to when it's going to come up. But it will be uploaded real soon. So thank you all so much for watching. It was a great discussion. Again, thank you guys for being a part of this. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
So,
I'm enjoying.
Yep. So
Thank you so much.
Go back to nostalgia, my man.
Yep. So until next time, may you all take care of yourselves. Be awesome. Stay awesome. Tell your loved ones you love them. Check on them as always. Fight for everlasting peace. I'll see you guys next time. And remember, it's Marvel, baby. Good night, everybody.
I'm gonna take you for a ride.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.